Welcome, YouTube commenters. We look forward to your insightful remarks. This is Google Plus Week. Hi everybody, welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott, your host, and there are lots of stuff to talk about, lots of things to talk about this week, but our first topic is the new YouTube comment integration. And I remember a couple years ago at the birth of Google Plus, and when Hangouts first began and all that stuff, but we weren't even using them then, Alan Furstenberg, my co-host, said he wondered if Google Plus would even exist as a destination by itself in the years to come. And that question is even more prescient as they continue to roll out what they initially said will be the social spine integrating all of Google's products. The latest landing of that social spine is YouTube, and it has met very mixed results, sometimes hostile. I discovered this. I did a post on Google Plus, and it was just sharing a video, and it was an ad for the new commenting system or announcing it. And my post wasn't praising the comment system, it was praising the ad. I said, this ad agency did a good job on this ad. That's all I was doing, because I make videos. And I didn't know that Google Plus post appeared as a comment on the YouTube video landing page and was in fact a top comment. And all of a sudden, I got berated from this. And I'm going to go to my co-host, Alan Furstenberg, in just a moment. But first, Pam, you were involved in that. What was your reaction? Did you realize what was going on? Because I thought I was merely posting something on Google Plus, but it appeared on that YouTube page, and we were immediately, with increasingly colorful, profanity-filled comments, attacked by trolls. What was going through your head? Did you realize what was going on at first?
No. Didn't realize it.
It was crazy. You just dove in there like
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was just ignoring it. I mean, it was like, you know, die MFer. You were called something that rhymes with poor, but worse. And you just dived in there like Jack Bauer and fed those trolls.
So Dan,
did.
Can you recap one more time exactly what happened? I'm not following exactly what happened.
You know, you can go on Google Plus, and you can, if you want to share a video from YouTube. I didn't say share. I wasn't on YouTube and said share to Google Plus. I just said create a new Google Plus post, and I copied the YouTube URL and I pasted it in my post, and I said, I don't know what ad agency made this ad, but it's really good. That was the extent of my post. And then I shared it publicly on Google Plus. Now, I realize public is public, but I just didn't know that now, if you do that, if someone's watching that YouTube video, in the comments, your Google Plus post appears as a comment in the YouTube video. And
so let's
go ahead.
So why was that a bad thing? I don't understand.
It wasn't. No, it was just interesting. Go ahead, Alan.
So let me make sure I understand. You commented on a YouTube post.
No.
Correct?
No, I shared. Well,
Sure you
I did. Now I know it's the same thing.
Well, but here, that's exactly it. Conceptually, you commented on a YouTube post. Now, you weren't on YouTube making a comment, but you were commenting on a YouTube post.
Yeah, but who thinks that when they share a link to a YouTube post that it becomes the YouTube post? I mean, that had never happened before. And the truth is that little troll fest thing happened the very first day that Google enabled that. So, I mean, it was, of course, we were shocked.
Yep,
right?
No, I can understand. I mean, I remember when it happened on Blogger. It was kind of shocking and surprising. And I think it does take some getting used to. But I think as we start getting used to it, I don't think it's inherently a bad thing.
Agreed.
Well, I definitely think Google is very, very smart to have those of us at Google Plus babysit the trolls on YouTube. I think it's a great idea, but I just don't want to be the babysitter.
I don't think it's going to be us babysitting the trolls on YouTube. I think, you know, as this fully gets rolled out and as it fully comes into effect, some of the automated systems are going to be, you know, killing the trolls more and more, or at least shutting them up, or at least making them less visible to us.
And Alan's taking all of my freaking points out of my head. So
See, I told you, Michael, that I wasn't necessarily going to be disagreeing with this. So.
Yeah, I mean, I see the end game that Google is playing, like Alan said. I think the same experience is happening on multiple places, which you don't hear from Google that very often, but like your blogger comment experience, your YouTube comment experience, and all of them are linked to your Google Plus. So I mean, it wouldn't affect without those crazy people, because now they're posting from their real identity, and in effect, their real name policy is still in effect. And YouTube comments now, which weeds them out even more.
But it's not in effect. I mean, people who have an established YouTube channel under Freaky Sex 69 is going to be able to keep Freaky Sex 69, right?
Give it time. Give it time. Give it time.
Okay.
Like I said, in game. That's in game.
And what about age restrictions? Are there age restrictions on YouTube?
In game.
No. I think no. Pam raises an interesting question.
I mean, we've been fighting these real name wars forever.
It's coming.
This is really a new, unique thing. I'm noticing.
Dan,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hang on a second, because I want Pam is raising a really, really important point, and Michael's kind of dismissing it. And
no, I'm just saying, it's not here now.
Well, but why not?
Change it. Radical changes to, like, no one makes that big of a big change to a limit. I haven't seen any product that does it. Like, Facebook even gives time for something to run out.
I saw a big change. I tried joining Google Plus 2 years ago with a pseudonym, and I was suspended for a month.
Correct.
Okay, so why aren't these, little idiots being suspended?
But no, because they already have an account. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I had an account.
No, you just said you tried to create a new one.
I tried to create a new Google Plus account. I had an account before then.
Therefore, they have new things that, I mean, creating a new one, the rules already apply. If they already have a username that's not tied to a Google Plus account, it has to have time for that to run out.
I had an account that had a pseudonym as its name, and when I linked it to a Google Plus account,
linked it. That's the new connection. That's the new connection.
So these guys just created a new connection. So why did I have to follow the rules and they don't?
They haven't created that connection yet.
Yes, they did. In order to comment, they have to create the new connection.
Now, the system doesn't. How long did it take for you to get your notice? Did it just suspend it right then?
It took them about a week, if I remember correctly.
There's a time where the system has to kick in. It's not automatic like that. It's not you open the door, you get arrested.
No, it's supposed to be more automatic now. It's supposed to make it so it's a lot tougher for you to create a improperly named account now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not how it was back that way.
Can we talk about comments? Let me screen share. I can't show you guys, but this is my. I'm looking here on the YouTube video. I see it's already started, even with the old comment system. I see like Charlie Ellingson. It says this comment's been flagged as spam. It's not at all. I said, now this is interesting. The comments here on the live video are old school, but that is not good, as I love the new awesome YouTube comment section. I think it'll revert to the new ones after the stream. I don't know if that's permanent or temporary. We'll see. So I'm going to say that's not spam. And then he did another thing. So anyone who says anything good about it, the YouTubers are marking it as spam. Here's another one. This has been flagged as spam show. It says the new YouTube comments is awesome, and so he marked it as spam. And then let me go to the comments here on what's interesting is now that they have combined. So like this is an example. Now that if you share my Google, okay, I put the YouTube player in on Google Plus, which meant that was also a YouTube comment. So it's like an incestuous thing. So here the tracker is picking this up. Gerwin, who wrote the tracker, is watching and commenting. Yeah. So I see here, if I look at these comments, like Brad shared it, and so it's got his post.
Yeah,
as a
what
YouTube
we're getting
comment.
now is this. What we're getting now is this really funky mutation of the two.
Yep.
Clearly, this is broken.
Yep. Yeah, because as I add the shares in, then it shows the actual share again because it's looping through YouTube. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. This is new for sure.
So anyway, we do have a couple of interesting comments. So we've got this one from George. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Integration is all right, but we have compartments in our lives. That's an interesting point. Up until now, people have been thinking of YouTube as one world, and we have this other world that we had been calling Google Plus. And I think, well, we all know my opinion that calling it Google Plus was a mistake to begin with. But we've talked about this. People who are used to that kind of separation are now really running into problems. Kevin Bryan loves the new commenting system.
Alan, what would you call it if you didn't call it Google Plus?
Google.
You just call it Google.
I think that is too uniform because you still got search.
Okay, that's Google Search.
And Google Docs and Google Hangouts and
right.
Google.
So you got to call it something.
Yeah, Google.
Google Plus. You can't.
No, it's Google.
You can't call it Google because every Google service, every Google product has a name.
Yeah,
Well,
but
here's the
yeah,
thing.
but if this
It's
is
Plus.
going to tie everything together, then it is Google.
Right. I mean, Michael,
Yeah,
when I can
but
do
Google
things
would
like
include Google Plus.
So when you go to Google.com, it's going to bring up the freaking homepage on Plus. You not have the search bar.
And the truth is, that's exactly what Google Plus should do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they should do. They should integrate search right into Google Plus.
Oh, I mean, okay, but sure, but I mean, all the search people that don't want anything to do with Google Plus.
But Michael, they already have it. That's what
Not as
search
bad
has
as the
to do with it.
YouTubers who don't want anything to do with it.
So currently, let's say I search Fig, right, from Google Plus.
Sign.
I get people, I get posts, and I get Google. So they're already starting to do that.
They've done search
they've
plus
been
for a
doing
long
it,
time. That part isn't new. And when we talk about Google Docs as a separate thing. Once the integration with the Google Docs accounts and the Google Plus accounts is better done, that's going to become seamless. The whole goal of Google Plus is to make every single service seamless. And there happens to be a brand new service which we could call Google Stream.
I think we're going the other way. It should be every Google service has a plus layer to it instead of every service going to plus. Really plus going into the service.
Okay, I might agree with that. I don't see it as every service has a plus layer to it. I just see it as every service is deeply intertwined with every other service.
Alan, what do you think? My thinking here is this is going to result in a huge increase in the numbers that they can claim for Google Plus engagement, because all these YouTubers, if for no other reason than to troll this decision,
and
are going to have
honest,
to activate their Google Plus accounts.
And to be honest, they're not going to do this, but if they're smart, they will, the next time they announce numbers, break it out and make it clear how many of them are YouTube. Because otherwise people are going to discount the numbers like they've been discounting the numbers for 2 years.
But there's no difference, as you pointed out.
YouTube
is Google Plus. Google Plus is YouTube now, as far as your identity and your activities.
Yeah.
If you comment on a YouTube video, you're commenting on Google Plus now.
Right, but it's going to be inviting the criticism. And I think it's unfair criticism, but they're going to be inviting the criticism.
But clearly that was a motive.
It's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see tremendous number gains. And they'll be real because they actually are posting in both places. It's almost like they're just duplicate posting, if you will, on both platforms. If I post on Google Plus a YouTube video, it goes there and on Google Plus. And if I comment on a YouTube video, it goes to Google Plus. What's interesting is you have an option when you comment on a YouTube video, whether you want that to also be posted on Google Plus. But if you share a YouTube video on Google Plus, you don't have an option on whether or not it appears in the YouTube comment stream. So
well, you do have an option whether it'll appear in the YouTube comment stream. By
doing public or, it will.
Exactly.
Whether it's public or not. And it does obey your circle. So if I shared a YouTube video saying something like, look how bad this Craig Ship video is, OMG, right? And then...
Which is something Alan complained about before.
Look, it's another... what's the thing he has?
Segway.
Yeah, it's another Segway video from Craig, breaking news or something, you know. Look, it's a cheerleader on a Segway, and haha. So that I would share that. Then only the people I shared it with would see it as a comment on YouTube, and it would be highlighted at the top. But this thing I did when I initially posted, when I discovered this feature, and I'm not against it, I just was surprised. I didn't realize they had done that. When I initially did it, it actually appeared as the top and then the second top comment on the video, and I even went incognito to test that. I opened up a Chrome porn window, and so I wasn't logged into anything, and it showed me as the top comment. And that's why I was getting, I mean, immediately, die MFer and FU, and, you know, then Pam, like I said, went in there like Jack Bauer and started responding to all these people. And then, of course, they all piled on Pam with increasingly colorful vulgarities. So it was just, I thought it was pretty fun to watch, frankly. It was like
by the way,
a Roman gladiator thing. Craig's comment, and then let's see what Bruce thinks about all this.
If you want to see those Segway videos, just go to youtube.com/area cable.
He's an unrepentant YouTuber.
Out. But I did want to say that these YouTubers can complain all they want, but I'm laughing all the way to the bank because my revenue has gone up since this change.
Dramatically,
so,
right? Like 25%
not
increase?
Dramatically. I mean, it was like 450, it's like 481, but that's just in like 2 days. And I thought it was going to go down. I was concerned it was going to go down, and instead it's gone up. So, I mean, that's the right direction.
Well, it's only a 20% increase, but that said, it's a short sample, right? It's just a few days.
Yeah, that's right. But it's never been this high. It was usually around 450 was the highest. So I'm looking to see if it goes even higher. But I can tell you the comments have increased quite a bit, and the traffic on a number of my videos has increased quite a bit.
Can we go
Would
to
you say the quality of the comments have gone up as well?
The comments, like for example on my iPhone 5S video, it's a war between the Android fanboys and the iOS faithful. So
yeah, his video. Would you say something like? Don't believe the haters. The iPhone 5S is the world's greatest ever phone, and you could say what you want, but watch this video on why the iPhone S is the best phone ever made, or something like it. Just just ask. Yeah,
people are going crazy. But I'll tell you, it's gone from 20,000 views like a week ago. It's at like 35,000 views now. It's just like going crazy, and these comments are I think helping it.
So I have a question.
And then go ahead, Pam, and then let's go to Bruce and get his thoughts.
Yeah. So these comments get ranked, kind of like on Reddit, right?
More complicated than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens during the show when we're trying to track comments? Is it going to be like that horrible answer and question thing where they bounce all over the place and you're like trying to find them and
we don't think so. Right now it's still chronological, but that's partly because we're still while an event is live, it seems like it's using the old comments, at least on YouTube itself.
But you guys don't know if that's going to continue or not?
No, we don't. And we're sure that the new comment system will eventually get rolled out there, but there must be a reason why it hasn't been rolled out yet. And I think this is part of the reason.
Okay.
Bruce, what are your thoughts on this, on the new?
Well, first of all, I have to piggyback on something that Pam said. Some comments are rank. The second thing I would say is I don't know if I want to hang out with walkers, and if you know the Walking Dead analogy, you understand that. But the question I have that I put in the chat here is this cross-platform commenting change limited to YouTube posts that I share publicly on Google+, or what if I share it privately to somebody, a YouTube video, and maybe we want to have a discussion about the efficacy or effectiveness of that?
Well, there's a good question, and I think Michael might actually be able to help more with it. My understanding is that any post you share is visible only only to the people who can see it otherwise, even if they look at it on YouTube. So if you share it to one other person, if they go to YouTube, they'd be able to see that comment on YouTube. If you shared it to a private community and somebody in that community went to YouTube, they would be able to see it on YouTube. And this has caused some confusion.
But YouTubers wouldn't be able to see those comments, you're saying?
Well, what's a YouTuber?
A walker. I don't know.
And unless they're permitted to see it, no, they wouldn't see it.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. And I think this has caused some confusion because people who are seeing YouTube, who get a YouTube post that's posted to a private community, who then go to YouTube, they'll see it there, and they're like, how can I see this post? It was shared to a private community and it's leaking out.
The short version is if you were shared it or given permission to see it within any site, it's all on accounts now. Does your account have permission to see this bit of information? So no matter if it was Google Plus or YouTube or even the creator of the video, if he gave this person or people permission to see it, they will see it. No matter the medium or the privacy, all on account permission.
And that's a good way to put it. And I think this kind of goes to, we had this comment from Kevin Bryan. Why are we talking about people who don't want anything to do with Google Plus? Google is going to shove Google Plus down everyone's throat whether they like it or not anyways.
Should they not?
I don't like spinning it that way, mostly because I'm getting tired of this shoving Google Plus down everyone's throat argument. I see it more as they're giving people a new powerful tool. And it's not that they're shoving Google Plus down. You may never visit the stream, which is what some people seem to think Google Plus is the stream, and it's not. They're giving you permissions. They're giving you a very powerful permissioning system, and they're putting it on YouTube, where you essentially it's not even that you had chaos before, you had a cesspool before. Now they're giving you something real. And I think people just are having trouble coming to grips with the fact that they're dealing with something real. As for my use of the term stream, George had this comment. Google Stream is definitely not a good name. It sounds like something that happens when Eric Schmidt goes to the bathroom.
Oh, geez.
Point taken, George. Thank you very much. Although I would say that what YouTube was before is truly what we saw when Eric Schmidt went to the bathroom or, ate some bad North Korean food.
Well,
apologies to our North Korean viewers.
Yeah, Gerwin does the comment tracker, which you're seeing now on the screen, the folks watching the live stream. And what's interesting is it's showing these, he's going to be able to fix this or enhance the comment tracker so that it will pick up all the comments if someone shares the video independently of sharing your post. That's kind of a in the weeds edge case topic, but
share it independently. What?
In other words, if I post, like I posted tonight, I posted live video, Google Plus Week.
Right, you shared the video.
Okay.
You made a comment.
And then if anyone shares my Google Plus post, then that will appear, that the comment tracker will pick up that share and the subsequent comment tree as it spreads, right?
Of course it will, because their comment, actually, there's a really good question that I don't think I've seen anyone discuss yet. And what does this look like on ripples?
If you,
there's a powerful,
it shows it on, yeah, you're right. That will be interesting because on ripples it does show if some people will share my Google Plus Week or Android Week show, not by sharing my post, but by just copying the URL from YouTube and posting it in their own Google Plus post, which is fine. But if you look at ripples, it shows those. You'll see like Dan McDermott in the center and the tree that comes out of people who shared it. Then you'll see independent shares in ripples. So now I'm wondering if you'll see that twice. Like here, I see another one. This Valerij Karpinchik. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm not even sure what language that is, but thank you. You just shared it. And so that appeared as it's technically a comment on the YouTube video, but not really, you know. And so that's not showing up on the YouTube comments that we're seeing now because it's the old system while we're live. Then once it's processed, it reverts to the new system. But they are in there, and Gerwin's app is picking that up. So he'll be able to pick up all the comments from these independent shares of the post in addition to shares of my actual Google Plus post. Again, that's too technical, more so than it should be. But we're going to end up getting more comments on the comment tracker than we have before.
To dim that down some, I mean, analytically wise, I think it would make for better analytics. Because, I mean, in essence, each YouTube video is considered a post from your account. So, I mean, anytime someone shares it or shares it, no matter the medium, it's just going to count as a reshare on like a Google Plus post. So, I mean, now like Blogger articles, those are considered a post. Now YouTube videos, those are considered a post with a video in it. I mean, it's the same fundamental, and that's why I think analytics can.
No,
somewhat.
Michael, you mixed up two concepts. Unfortunately, I've got to disagree with you a little. A YouTube video is not itself a post. The comments on that video are the post, and that's the conceptual problem that I have trouble with still.
I'll argue that one, but I mean.
Go ahead and argue it. I mean, I'm just saying
okay,
that's
take like this. If you upload a photo, yeah, I gotta bring photos back. I'm sorry, but if you upload a photo,
we don't even have that on the agenda tonight.
It sits somewhere, but I mean, it sits somewhere in your account. So yeah, it's not yet a post, but as soon as you share it, now it's a post. But I mean, it's the same fundamental with videos and YouTube. It sits in a silo somewhere where your stuff sits, and as soon as you share it, no matter how, that share, in effect, becomes a post on Google+. Anything you do under your Google+ account is a post as soon as you share it, somehow.
Okay, that actually almost works. There's something about it that doesn't quite ring with me still, but that almost works.
I don't quite grasp how this works. I just did a couple posts on here. It's not going to show up. I'm looking at the Google YouTube comments, and I did a post. I posted this over on my stream, and I don't see it up in here. It's not going to show up to a later time. I don't quite understand how you make this happen.
Well, it depends on which this. Part of the problem is comments made on YouTube during a live presentation are not currently showing up as the new YouTube comments. They're still showing up as old YouTube comments.
Okay.
What's confusing is that if you share a live video, that is a new YouTube comment, and the system treats it as a new YouTube comment. But since it's showing old YouTube comments right now, those don't show up in the comment section yet. What we think will happen is that at the end of this live video, all of the old comments will get converted into new comments, and all of the shares that we've been doing during the show will also suddenly appear as new comments, we think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I just posted a comment on the live stream, and then I grabbed this URL and posted a comment, and nothing's showing up in here right now.
Yeah, and we occasionally, if you're following with Comment Tracker, they will occasionally appear and then suddenly disappear mysteriously because the Comment Tracker is a little bit confused right now.
And Alan, with that great illustration and explanation, as creative as it was, I'm hearing Black Magic Woman playing in the back of my mind. She described this magic that's going to make all this happen.
There's a lot of what's going on here that's pretty magical.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. And I think some of the YouTubers just, you know, have trouble grasping the magic.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. So they don't. They're not.
Because they're walkers and they're missing some things in their brain.
They spend so much time on YouTube. I like
so
it.
We have this comment from Charlie. 7 of the top Reddit videos right now are hating on the YouTube comments. And as Michael, a top contributor and major helper in the Google Plus help community can attest to, I would say that 50% at least of the posts there are haters on the new one, and it would be more if it wasn't for the fact that the other 50% are having trouble with vanity URLs.
As far as the comments, you are the first person. You and Craig are the first 2 I've ever, heard like it.
I've actually seen a lot of people liking it.
I like anything that makes me more money.
Well, I would think that the people in the that are in the forums are motivated because they're angry most of the time, aren't they? Or have a question or a problem. If they're just everything's fine, the plane landed successfully, you don't go in the airport rant forum and post about it.
Yep.
Actually, what I would really love to know is how in the world all of those YouTubies are finding their way to the Google Plus help forum, because that would require some modicum of effort on their part to use Google Plus.
I thought they would just call Google's tech support line, 1-800-411-Google, and an operator standing by to answer your tech support questions as long as it takes.
Yeah,
No,
and that operator
you're thinking about Apple Inc.
Sorry, I got them confused.
Yeah.
They're both in California. Okay, any other final thoughts on this new awesome...
Gerwin has an observation that he reminds us that all of us that have been commenting on the YouTube channel this evening will suddenly discover that we may have posts magically appear on Google Plus after the show is over. So, oops.
That's opt-in, though, isn't it? Isn't there a check mark?
Not for the comments
not
that we're
when it's
making
live.
right now.
Not when it's live.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in 3 hours.
I don't think that's the case, but we'll see.
So I want to go down the panel. Let's starting with Bruce and going the other direction. Everyone's opinion on the new commenting system, and as always, we'd love to hear comments from YouTube as well. Bruce.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a chance. I think it's going to be some fun. It's going to be interesting to see how the two communities integrate and how it all shakes out. I do understand Google's strategy, though.
Craig.
It works for me. I mean, as long as I can comment by clicking on the link and the email that I get an email every time there's a comment on one of my videos. As long as I can click in that email a link to then go and reply, I'm a happy camper. And it's working now. It wasn't working for a couple days while they were transitioning. It just wasn't working, but now it's working fine. I'm getting comments, revenue's up, keep rocking and rolling.
Okay, and
Dan, what are your thoughts on it?
So far so good. I mean, I was surprised when the initial thing happened, but when I discovered that a post of a video shows up on the video landing page on YouTube, but they said in the beginning that Google Plus was going to be the social spine, of all Google products, and we've seen it in Gmail, and I think that was widely praised, that you could get an email when you're mobile and you could actually respond to a Google Plus or Plus One it right within Gmail on your phone or your device, and I think that's fantastic. So now it's coming to YouTube. We knew that they would get pushback from because one of the motivations for this, other than dramatically increasing the user base for Google Plus, is to clean up the anonymous juvenile troll comments on YouTube. And if you've ever seen like a State of the Union speech or a live sporting event or anything that you just see these crazy nasty comments full of profanity and just hating on each other and just in rapid fire, you can't even almost keep up. It's so many. So you don't see that on Google Plus. At least I haven't. It's not as common. It's much less common. But it's so the question is, how much is Google Plus going to?
Why do you think it's less? Why do you think it's less common? Because we know the identities of these people, or because there's just nobody there?
Well, that's a troll comment. I mean, there's obviously people on Google Plus, just
not that many.
It's less than Facebook.
Not compared to YouTube. YouTube, there was a ton of people, right? I mean,
yeah, but it's because
if you compare the two.
It's because the demographics of Google Plus, I think, are intellectually higher than YouTube, and I think it's because.
So then, why is this going to fix the problem? Why isn't this just going to import the problem here?
I'll finish the sentence.
The reason why, no.
The question is, how much is this going to change YouTube, and how much is YouTube going to change Google Plus? I think YouTube is going to improve in their comment quality because of this, and I think Google Plus is going to degrade in their comment quality because of this.
Well, I've got two thoughts on that. The first is Google Plus's comment quality is actually pretty degraded. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it isn't there. In the same way that just the way that Craig thinks he's got nobody following him doesn't mean that, some of us don't have lots of people following us. That's one. But two, I think one of the things that we haven't discussed right now, and I think this is the kind of solution to the problem, is that part of this rollout is that there is some serious new anti-spam and anti-troll tools that come with this commenting system. So while before the comment system was itself just a free-for-all, now you're also getting the flag as spam stuff. You're getting the automatic selection that will weed some of those out. The fact that comments outside of live comments will, you're seeing more of the ones that are, weighted to be quality. The algorithm is doing some of that for you. So you're going to see all of that come into play, in addition to the fact that, there's the self-selection that's going to start happening.
What about identity? Is this going to help with knowing people's real identity?
Define real. Do we really want to get into a 2-hour debate on what the hell real identity means?
Is this going to make it harder for people to be anonymous making comments?
No.
Okay.
Why not?
Because you can still be pseudonymous.
Really?
Sure.
I mean, we know the little ways around it, but how often is the average person going to
create a page? They're telling you to create a page.
Okay, and the guideline for a page?
Guideline for a page is anything goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? You're the TC.
Well,
go ahead, Pam.
Well, according to YouTube's terms of service, you still can't put porn on there, but I see an awful lot of it, so I don't think that's very well enforced. But I mean, there are standards supposedly, right?
Is there a lot publicly or just privately?
I tell you what, go to YouTube and type in XXX.
No, I mean on Google. Are you talking about Google Plus or YouTube?
No, YouTube. Well, they're the same now, right?
Yeah.
So.
For better or worse, here it comes.
Well, but the YouTube terms of service specifically prohibit porn, but they don't enforce it.
Well, I agree with Dan. How many of you guys did you guys watch the YouTube Music Awards? I just put up a little in the chat room there that Lindsey Sterling, who won, had 52 million views. Now, when I was watching that, exactly what Dan said was happening. People, the comments were coming so fast, and so much garbage was appearing on there. Have you guys seen that happen when it had so many viewers? It had, I think it had like 80,000 viewers, live viewers.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's you could almost get in trouble. A TV station could be fined if they merely screen shared that. It was out of control. Everyone, I mean, there's no disputing that. It's just those guys who participate in that. You're talking 9 to 11, 13-year-old kids who are the ones. I mean, adults, we don't do that. These little kids who have too much free time do this.
What? What do you mean adults don't do that?
I mean, most of the trolls on YouTube are kids who put the stupid, silly comments. Not all.
Okay.
But I would say
a
plurality.
They just repeated the same word like 30 times up there and just kept repeating it.
And they're not happy.
Wow.
So,
Neither are my kids when I tell them to behave, right?
Yeah. Why is Sariq inviting me to a video call?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either, but I just yelled at him for it.
That's like when he posts something you posted 2 days ago and Plus mentions you and shares it to you. And then in a Google Hangout notifies you again that he did it. Okay, any final thoughts on the commenting thing? We can go to Alan's favorite topic next.
Himself?
We have this one. Alan is not wrong, which I will count as Alan is right. All they have to do is create a page, and they can use just about anything they want for a name. Gerwin also points out, with everyone creating dummy pages for using YouTube, they won't need to expose their true identity.
True.
Yeah, I said I was thinking that earlier. They're going to get a lot of new accounts because people are going to create multiple accounts for their various trolling personalities.
Yeah, I have
disguise
three
their real
accounts.
identity.
Well, they have a way to fix that, Dan. I just found out that when you set up an account, if you try to register that account, they ask you to send a text message through your phone, and you can only use your phone number 2 times. So you'd have to have a different phone every time.
Well, but here's the thing. So you create a new page, and yes, it means that on some level they can trace it to you. But most people aren't going to be able to trace it to you. It just means that Google can if you do something, utterly criminal. But they're not going to trace you just for being a troll.
Well, like I said, when I registered my new page, when I tried to get a YouTube account, not if you register a page, but if you tried to register a YouTube account with that page, they ask you for your phone number, and they only will let you use that 2 times. So you can only have 2 pages with the same phone number.
And now remember, Harold, there is no more YouTube account. You have a Google account, right? That is everything. I don't even think now. Do you still quote unquote upgrade, Alan, to Google Plus, or is it?
You can still have a non-Google Plus enabled account.
But only if it's legacy.
No, you can still create non-Google Plus enabled accounts.
Yeah, you still can.
They are a little bit pushy, but you can do it.
Yeah, as long as you don't want to send an email or comment on a YouTube video, you're good. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you can
send an email.
Create a Gmail account that's not Google Plus enabled.
Can anyone think of, given that they had Google Plus and this social network, which in most cases leans heavily toward your true identity, as far as your online persona, can anyone think of a better way that they could have done to clean up YouTube comment quality than this? This seems logical. I can't imagine anything else they could have done.
I think the best thing they could have done was not actually say that it was powered by Google Plus.
No, come on. Now if they did that and not change anything else, just not say it is, and it looks exactly like it does in Blogger and everywhere else, they're not going to bring that up.
If they had not said that Blogger was powered by Google Plus either, if they had just said that this is the Google commenting system.
Come on, Alan.
If they had just called it the Google commenting system, I think 90% of the criticism wouldn't have been there. You would still have had a couple of morons who would be ranting about how they're dragging us into Google Plus, and they would have been right. But most people would not have noticed or cared.
On some level, I agree. Just like no one knows that the multi-typing in dots came from Google Wave, right?
Right. I mean, Dan, how long have you been saying you would love Google Plus's commenting system for your own website? And this was before Blogger adopted it.
Yeah, Craig and I were just discussing this. That I'd love to let people comment using on our websites if you want them to comment on a restaurant review or a announcement or whatever, a news story. I'd like them to be able to comment through the method that they choose, to log in with Facebook or Google Plus, and to be able to comment there and optionally share that comment and the page that they're on Facebook or Google Plus as they do it. That's
what Facebook does.
Yeah, and they get I discover a lot of interesting stories. And then what Facebook then will do, like if you're on Time, and you see an article or whatever site, and they have Facebook commenting installed, and you comment on it, then or if you even share the story, then they'll use that to sell ads with your picture that you won't see, but all your friends will see. Dan McDermott shared Time Magazine's story on Facebook, and Time Magazine pays them for that. Whoring you out. But now Google's going to start doing that. So I don't think it'll be long before the commenting system is on websites.
I don't think so.
I mean, well, they're going to monetize it.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be as standalone-ish as Facebook is, but I mean,
it's very popular. The Facebook one. TechCrunch used it for a while. They could wrap it into that Discuss thing, right? I think that Discuss uses it.
But Dan, didn't we do that test? And isn't it true that only with Google Plus can you embed, if you want to embed a post like in your website, for example, and then have people comment on it and have those comments stay there on your website, you can't do that with Facebook.
Yeah.
If they comment with Facebook, it goes to Facebook. It doesn't stay on your page.
Well,
but it doesn't say on your page for Google Plus either. But I mean,
you can embed an entire Google
Yes.
Plus post on your website, and then if they comment, if they're logged into Google Plus and they comment within that embedded post, it will show up as a comment on your post.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't call those comments anymore. We call those nested comments or something like that.
So if you
Yeah, but
posted,
you can't do that with Facebook, and you can do it with Google Plus.
if you, okay, this is in the weeds, Alan. If you posted a YouTube video on Google Plus, and then you embedded that post on your website, if someone comments on that post within the embedded post commenting, not on the comments on your website post, that would show up on your Google Plus post. I guess it would also show up on the YouTube thing. Would it say what the destination was? Are people going to be doing this to draw traffic to their websites?
No, it wouldn't go to your because it wouldn't show up on YouTube. It wouldn't show up on your website because it would just be a comment on YouTube, and people who will comment on it on your website would then show up as the nested part of the comment on YouTube.
Okay.
Now, we just had a comment that just disappeared.
I think it's if someone marks it as spam on YouTube, it will.
Oh no, because it's still.
Is it that?
It's still showing up. We now have, we seem to be attracting the YouTube pond scum this evening.
Oh, great.
And I can tell because they're typing in all capital letters, and I see no only one curse word between the two of them so far. So that's not too bad. It's good to see that their vocabulary is increasing a little bit. But one of them talks about how it's a sad joke, and the other one talks about how we're being a bunch of Google Plus apologists. Oh my God! If you think I'm a Google Plus apologist,
are you sure that's not Craig?
If you think this crowd is a bunch of Google Plus apologists, man, you haven't been watching the show, and you should go back and watch all of the old ones.
And go take a look at the video I just posted in my stream. Go to my Google Plus stream and take a look at the video I just posted.
But in all seriousness, I would like to know why they think A, Google Plus is a sad joke, and B, why they're commenting on us if they think it's such a sad joke. On a Friday night, no less. Oh, if you posted a video on Google Plus, you and the other 15 people that use it can talk all about it, while normal people are doing something else. So let's see. We seem to have about 26 people this evening, and
sounds like
these two seem to be two of them.
Now we know Craig Ship's identity on YouTube.
Yep.
YouTube.com/area cable.
And how many people were commenting on your video, Craig? Which you also posted on Google Plus? How many?
In 1 week, it went from 20,000 to 35,000.
Gerwin, how come I'm not? Are you guys seeing this in the comment tracker?
I saw them appear and then disappear on the comment tracker. The comment tracker is again having problems.
Okay, because I don't see them on the. Okay, so they were there and then now they're gone, but they're on the YouTube stream. See here it says Charlie's responding. Mac Google Plus is awesome. He's trolling the trolls. And but on the actual YouTube live comment stream, you can see it.
Yeah. So if Hell's Blade Lan and I'm not even going to try to pronounce Mac's full name because I can't. If they actually have something worthwhile and useful to contribute, hey, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear why they think Google Plus is so bad because, obviously there are a few million people who disagree with them.
On a related subject, the iPhone 5S is the best phone ever made.
Lord. Honestly, Craig, go take it to iPhone 5S week.
And you saw my comment on your post. It was very feminine.
You know what the S stands for in the iPhone 5S, don't you?
See, isn't that a feminine-looking phone?
Sleek. It's
That's the word.
what's the term? Metrosexual.
Is that meant to be a compliment? I'm confused there, Craig.
Hey, let me tell you something.
So Anthony Klauser has joined us.
The chicks do dig it.
Anthony Klauser has joined us. Anthony, good to see you again. What are your thoughts on the whole YouTube comment changes?
It's a mess. I mean, first of all, I something I did not like was I made a comment on a YouTube video, and I'm positive that I had the. Am I still here? I think I am. Yeah, I'm positive that the checkbox was checked in the appropriate way to not post to Google Plus,
Isn't that, I mean, what
and it did. So, I mean, and I think that it's completely messed up the how the comments are voted on. They don't seem to be working. They certainly are not working the way they used to. And I found it.
Well, do you think them not working the way they used to is a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing. I mean, it certainly is not something that I've become used to. I've also found that it's either impossible or I just have not figured out how to reply to comments that are something. I guess maybe they're too old, which, like, 3 days old seems pretty ridiculous that you can't respond to comments any 3 days old. But yeah, there was comments that I couldn't even respond to because of whatever issue was going on.
What that is, as I understanding, is that's you're crossing over the old comment, new comment divide. So old comments you can't reply to anymore because that doesn't work. That, you know, there's.
I suppose that's reasonable in a very annoying kind of reasonable way, but yeah, I feel like the way that comments are upvoted has become broken. Maybe that's just an issue in the same way with replying to comments, where old comments are just being sent to the wayside, sort of, or like they have to get new voted up in order to get part of the new system. I don't know. It seems very convoluted to me.
That's a good question. I mean, my understanding, and Michael or any of our commenters could correct me if they know otherwise. Pam, are you blushing there? Is that the upvoting is translated into a +1, and that now ranks as part of the weighing system to weigh good comments up. Downvoting has now been eliminated for various reasons. But is that what you're seeing?
Somewhat. It's not to the entirety effect as a +1, but similar. Yes, but they don't inherit the same actions as a +1.
And I mean, if they're eliminating dislikes, which, I mean, that sounds like exactly what they're doing, that seems very broken. I understand, like, you know, on Facebook with likes or on Google Plus with +1s, there's a place where you only have, there's a place for only having upvotes. But on a place like YouTube, where, you know, there's constantly spammy comments or, you know, something of the like, you know, if you get 10 +1s and you have nothing to counterbalance that, people might think that it's a good comment, or might think that everyone thinks that it's a good comment instead of just those 10 people. But if you have downvotes and you have, you know, 1,000 downvotes to 10 upvotes, obviously everyone thinks it's ridiculous, and you know, maybe it disappears from the, you know, commenting system. So
look at Facebook. There's like I mean, there's no unlike. I mean, I'm sure it's ranked.
Well, and I mean, yeah, I feel like maybe traditional social networks like Facebook and Google Plus. Just a moment.
And all forums.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in like commenting systems where the comments are a very heavy component of the system, you need dislikes. But I gotta get going. Hopefully, I'll be back before the end of the show.
You probably will.
Your input, Bruce.
Yeah.
What's the comment that you have?
George Cozy says, listening to this, one thing is certain, the commenting system really needs to be less Byzantine. Now, when I'm thinking, I was thinking George Cozy, what kind of national is he talking about the Byzantine Empire of the Eastern Orthodox Church? No, Byzantine means excessively complicated. So great job on your English mastery there, George.
Bruce, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of why this was an important thing for them to do. Let's say, like, Billy Graham was just had his like final sermon or whatever, 95 years old, famous evangelist, pastor in the United States, counsel to presidents from, I don't know, probably Eisenhower on.
Focus, Dan, focus.
He just did this thing. Let's say it was on YouTube. And let's say your pastor said, hey, if you don't have broadcast television, you can watch this live on YouTube. And some little old lady, never said a cuss word in her life, logs onto YouTube to watch this. Can you imagine her reaction? And I'm just giving one example for Bruce. At the plethora of increasingly colorful, vulgar, profane, racist, everything comments, almost so fast you can't even keep up with them, what this woman's reaction would be. And this is owned by the same company that's flying Eric Schmidt around the world to save the planet, right? This was an embarrassment. They had to do something, and this is the logical way to fix it. It was an embarrassment for Google, the way the depravity and disgusting comments on YouTube. And this is how they're trying to fix it, and it's just rolled out, right? This is the beta version. I mean, all of Google products are almost constantly in a beta version because they're going to be different tomorrow. So I think they had to do something, and this seems like the obvious logical thing to do, and this probably was some of the impetus for Google Plus in the first place. In addition to riding the social bandwagon, but they wanted to have a common identity because everyone had like a YouTube account and a Gmail account and, you know, all these different accounts, and it was a pain in the ass, and you had to remember all your passwords and stuff. And you couldn't find someone on YouTube. You know, now you can find their Google Plus page, etc. So I think they had to do this. I mean, can you imagine that situation? That would be very embarrassing for Google. I'm sure it was multiple times.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I think I said earlier when I was asked, I understand their strategy, and let's give it some time.
Okay, so you know what? Actually, I don't think I actually got an answer from Pam about what she thinks about the whole new commenting system.
Here we go. The moment we've been waiting for, trolls, get ready.
All right. Well, okay. It's not that I'm not a proponent of free speech, but how do I put this lightly?
That's the truest thing you've ever said.
Okay, look, I posted a video 6 months ago. Okay, I have a habit of on people's birthdays posting a relevant video for them as a gift, as a Google Plus post, and someone just shows up on this share and starts trashing me or the birthday recipient or whatever, and it's like just out of the blue, and it's non-responsive. So my thing is if you're going to comment, if you're going to troll, at least be smart about it, right? I mean, at least have some relevance to the video you're looking at or something other than eat shit and die. I mean, you know what I mean? That's just so juvenile. So just personally, I think that non-responsive comments are just don't make them, you know. But as far as this shift, I don't like it because I don't want to babysit any more than I already have to do on my posts. And I think that the reputation of the average YouTube commenter has preceded them, right? And they are now going to have to deal with us. And we have mute, block, and delete.
But you're going to get all that. Like, let's say you do a YouTube video, Pam. It's all going to be one thing. So it's true. There's some babysitting involved if you choose to do that. I don't. I just let them say whatever, and I don't care. But it's all one thing. So you're only babysitting in one place now. You can babysit from either place, right? It's moving to that.
But I didn't. It wasn't a video I uploaded to my YouTube channel. It was Joe Blow's video that that they posted however many years ago that I found that was relevant to somebody else, and I just shared the link on Google+.
Well, here,
so it has nothing to do with me babysitting in one place. I've never even occurred to me that I would have to babysit some guy's YouTube video. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's not my video.
Let me ask you something, Pam. One of the things that they said we were going to be getting with this is not just the improved manual blocking systems, but that the automated systems would start working better too. Do you think that's going to help your problem, or are you not optimistic?
I had no idea they had automated blocking systems. Did you see how many names, how many of the 7 cuss words was I called on your post, Dan? Like 3 or 4 out of the 7, right? The C word, the B word, a commie. I was called a commie.
The W word.
A whore. Yeah, the W word.
Yeah. You're a whore, and you shut up, you effing whore. I mean, it's just straight up, Because I knew, like, when you see these guys come in, because it was immediate. I mean, within 30 seconds, the first one, die, MFer,
Yeah.
And, or something like, I mean, just like straight up, oh God, that's going to be a screen cap meme right there. But it was just like, wow, okay. And I was like, oh, well, at least they're going to watch or comment, they're engaging. And I made the observation, another post, a private post earlier today, a lot of people, this guy told me, he said his mother hates Bill O'Reilly, hates his guts, gets angry every time he says anything. She watches him every night, And O'Reilly doesn't care. He knows. If someone gets on the show to troll or watches the show to troll me, and hates my guts and comments, Dan's stupid and he sucks and his show's a joke and nobody's on Google+. I don't care. You're watching. You count. It's ratings.
Yeah, that's why the two trolls that we had on the comments earlier tonight, I was like, hey, if you want to keep watching us and telling us how lame we are for doing a show on Friday nights, you're the ones watching.
Right. And
at least we're doing the show.
Yeah. But that's the reason I put the trolls in the thumbnail, because I wanted to deliberately troll the trolls so we could get some of this to demo it, and because it was funny. And it's actually hard to find a Creative Commons picture of a troll, I discovered.
Charlie's got an interesting comment that I'm trying to get him to elaborate on, and the post unfortunately disappeared from my comment tracker, so I can't put it up.
I can show it on the screen. Give me a hint here.
It's the one from Charlie a couple of minutes ago that starts, Pam, I'm not plugging my videos, but take a look at my videos and my Google Plus profile. I've been trolling the trolls, but as a social experiment, the results say a lot, and I'm kind of curious what his results are.
Yeah, he does. What he does, he's like this. He's like, the new commenting system is just so awesome. It's great. And he smiles the whole time. It's just the best thing to ever happen to YouTube. He's kind of wide-eyed and smiling. And he's just like, he's trying not to laugh the whole time. He's kind of snickering as he does it, but he comes off as serious and sincere. And he's just totally trolling the trolls. It's really funny. And then they were trolling each other, him and another guy, Archer, both friends of mine, right? But they were like, Archer said something, and then Charlie was like, by the way, I just owned you, or something like that after he responded. It was just funny as they're going back and forth. I love it. I mean, it's freedom of speech, baby. I'm a newspaper guy. I'm a freedom of speech guy. If you want to say I'm an asshole, go bring it, No problem. Well, have fun.
Well, I blocked your little friend Archer, so if you ever invite him on the show, you're going to have to give me advance notice.
There's a limited number of people I can invite on the show when you're in, Pam, because you blocked. You're up to 700 victims on your block list, I think, right?
Something like that.
You should have a block party. It would be like a Halloween party, like a zombie walk.
Well, I get an awful lot of Middle Eastern and Asian
admirers,
yes.
detractors, or
yes.
a mixture of the two.
Yeah, and so I use the block button. It's just easier.
One interesting fact about the block button is that if you ever want more connections, they do take up one of your 5,000.
That is. Jonathan told me they did not.
That's a change then,
because
Michael
I
said
don't
was
have
the
them
case.
circled. I don't have them circled. I have them blocked.
Initially, a block counted as the 5,000.
Yeah.
But maybe it doesn't now. Michael, I don't know. Maybe they've changed that. Jonathan certainly should know.
I mean, with 500 million people, I mean, it is absolutely conceivable that I will get more than 5,000 spammers, creepers, and admirers, I guess is the closest. You know what I mean?
Vocal, colorful admirers.
Yes.
Of all, you have a universal appeal among all ethnic groups. They like to praise or troll you.
Yeah. Yep. It's either they want to kill me or.
And you've had some very prominent Googlers circle and uncircle you on Thursday. Yeah. Some of the top people, celebrities, have uncircled Pam, and they all do it on a Thursday for some reason. I think that's Uncircle Pam Day. Like to.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, are we good? We're good.
We had an interesting comment from George asking if posts should have a lifespan. It's an interesting question.
Should have what?
A lifespan.
They'll never do that because they can monetize it forever. And we're seeing that this week. We're seeing I'm seeing YouTube videos that I posted a couple years ago, suddenly getting traction because they're showing up in a Google search or whatever. I don't know what the discovery process is, but I'm seeing, and we've all seen that for the last several months. Old posts coming alive. And it's often search driven. Like, let's say you posted something about Chris Christie a year ago, and then Time Magazine did that cover and he was in the news, and someone's searching, and they might be in your circles, or you're in their circles, and they found your post in a Google search, and then they commented on your post from a year ago. And you're like, what the hell, you know? So we're going to see more of that because that content will stay in there forever, because every time someone's on it, that's an opportunity to deliver an ad depending on the venue on which they're consuming that post.
And I think that's kind of one of the big differences between Google Plus and something like Twitter or Facebook. Both of those are Twitter is a very, very transient system. You know, the tweet goes by, you know, once twit and the pen writes on. Facebook tries to capture some of that history as part of your timeline, and they're trying again as part of their new searching system. But I think only Google is really kind of saying, hey, the stuff that you write, sure, you can delete it if you want to delete it. That's your choice. But it's meant to be something that's around forever. It's meant to be a permanent archive.
It's useful because if I'm looking, you know, what microphone should I buy? And Michael, we're getting echo back from you. I think your speakers are too high or something's going on, but it keeps reverting to you, and we're hearing it. Buddy,
see, you know, Dan, you can just mute him.
I don't
he won't take
Michael.
offense by that.
He'll kick my ass. Have you seen him? Well, he wouldn't kick yours because you're.
I see
I'll
the target
him.
behind
He's
him.
trained soldier.
I'll mute
man.
him. That's okay. I'll still mute him.
No, I just want to turn his speakers down a little bit. But anyway, so it's useful to me if I'm looking. You know, I needed a USB microphone. I bet it would pull up a result. I'll do a demo. I'll see if this works. I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to type in just in my Chrome, whatever they call the universal URL bar. I'm going to type in USB microphone, and I'm going to see if I get a result. Here we go. First page, the Audio Technica, and like if I was looking for what's that microphone that Bruce has told me that he uses that's dirt cheap and sounds fantastic, right there on the first page search results, I see a post from Brad, and I see a post from Bruce. I can click on it. It takes me right to his Google Plus post because he's in my circles, and it's $40 and I can find it. How convenient is that? Let me go to an incognito window and try to duplicate that same search. I'm going to say USB microphone. I'm not logged in, right? And let me see if I do not get the social results on the results on the first page. Let me try the second page. And I don't see any social results. So this is pulling relevant information for you, because frankly, I know Bruce is not trying to sell me a microphone. His word is gospel, if you will. It's a trusted source. So this delivers very relevant search results. This is a fantastic feature.
And what is Google's primary business again?
Delivering ads next to Bruce's recommendations.
Right.
So I can click on go to the Google Plus post and then click on Bruce's Amazon affiliate link and buy the freaking microphone. Everyone's happy. If I do it through smile.amazon.com, I can reward my local park friends group. Everyone's on the take. I don't know. What are you going to do? Except for Google Plus Week, which is a money-sucking hole.
Yeah, you know, you could do that. You're subsidizing with your Duck Dynasty videos. Cue Dan telling the Duck Dynasty story. Thank you, Dan.
That one video earns about literally twice the rent from my Main Street office every month. I get twice the money from Google, from YouTube, as my Main Street office rent every month.
So George has elaborated a little bit more. He meant the lifespan relating to commenting on something. The post is permanent, but I'm tired of comments showing up on stuff that was relevant a long time ago in another context. I guess I see what you're saying, George. It might be interesting to let you do that in some automated fashion, but I still think I like the idea of being able to have comments just open in general on things, because things can take on a new life for new reasons. You know, so even if it was in a different context, a post that you made a month, a year ago, whatever, in light of new events, may take on new relevancy. And I think that's part of the beauty of Google Plus, is that yes, some of it is time relative, but other things might be more eternal.
Well, should a post come back up at the top of the newsfeed again if it's commented on, or some actions on it take place that may breathe it new life again?
I think so. It's a new comment.
You know, it's really funny.
Michael's trying to troll me, I think.
You know, I'm from Florida originally, and of course, if you've ever been to Florida during certain times of the year to experience love bug season, love bugs are just horrible, and they can eat away the paint finish on your car. But one day I was driving from Titusville to Orlando, and I was on a little country 2-lane road, and love bugs were just hitting the windshield. And I had actually, this is the camera that I use. This is an RCA Small Wonder. It preceded the flip phone, and I'm driving down the road, and I'm doing this video about love bugs. So I created a YouTube video called Love Bug City. And anytime somebody from another part of the country moves to Florida, they want to find out what's this love bug thing. So they Google it, and I get comments on my Love Bug City video. And it's really crazy how that happens.
What are love bugs? Should I go to your video? No, what do they do? Is it like a? Is it those things where if you hit a swarm of them, you got to pull over and
well, they die together, copulating. They fly around together in pairs, and it's really amazing. It's
hell of a way to go.
It's death by copulation, yes, and it's really gross though.
So George continues. You know, in cases like that, then you, I'm assuming, I'm not sure if the you is the person who encountered the post or the person who originally posted it, should share the post and give it a new life. Not, you know, what's happening now is that old posts are showing up on top with the comment "Hi." That's not engaging, and I'll agree with you there that that's a, you know, somebody tripped along and you know, is being an idiot. But you know, I think it's a wash. Do I think it makes sense to lock posts after some period of time? Yeah, that might be an interesting extension. I can think of a lot of things that I'd rather see Google do first, but you know, I think you make a compelling point to make it an option, George. Certainly. Or if they ever give us an API to make it a program that you can run yourself.
So there's a pretty crude but effective way of avoiding all these YouTube commenters. I know it's not me echoing. It's this is Dan, something with Dan. But anyway, you can make a post, and instead of linking the YouTube video in the post, you say, I am posting this happy birthday video to so-and-so, and then post the link as your first comment. So anyone who wants to avoid the YouTube comment thing and still link to a relevant video for somebody, then that's a crude way of doing it, and that's what I plan on doing for now, because I am not going to babysit YouTube.
We had...
You're muted.
I am?
Yes.
He's not muted. I hear him fine.
So's Bruce.
I'm very... Maybe it's you, Pam. While Pam tries to figure out her speaker problems, we had a comment that has unfortunately disappeared from Hellsblade Lan, who's now turned from one of our all caps trollers to actually having a reasonable conversation. Don't worry, Hells, we won't tell. With Charlie, accusing Charlie of being a troller once upon a time. And I think Charlie has admitted this fact in several of his posts. And what I find interesting is that a lot of the trollers and a lot of people seem to think that this new commenting system is going to get rid of trolls, and it's not going to. It's, they're still going to be able to troll. They're still going to be able to have all of the fun that they used to have, just that those of us who actually want to carry on a meaningful conversation can more easily ignore them. I think that's the lesson that Google Plus has been showing us. It's not that it gets rid of the pond scum. It's just that the life forms that have 2 cells instead of single cells can carry on a conversation while the pond scum are still there.
Well, and again, if you're doing it from Google Plus, you can delete those comments, right? At least from my experience is I can delete them from my Google Plus thread. I don't know if they delete from YouTube. I didn't go there to check.
They do. They do delete from the Google Plus thread, and there is an increasing chance that other people who came across your thread wouldn't have seen them in the first place.
Why?
Because the anti-spam system might have caught them. Might. That's a heavy on the might.
So this is the second time that you've mentioned this anti-spam system. What is that? And how come?
There are algorithms in place, and there have been algorithms in place for a long time now, that try to detect extremely low quality and irrelevant comments on a Google Plus post. And now these are being applied to the sub-comments on a YouTube comment as well. Why can't we have the same freaking term everywhere?
Okay, well, I have to tell you that I have never seen that employed, because I have comments like anywhere from hi to you want sexy chat to, fuck you and your mother. I mean...
Have you ever seen the thing that says this comment has been flagged as spam?
I've seen it pretty rarely, Michael, I'll be honest.
Yeah, maybe once or twice, ever.
Well, that's an algorithm. I mean, it mutates over time. I mean, nothing works totally, but I mean, it gets better, hopefully.
I moderate my posts pretty heavily, so...
Yeah, the problem, though, Michael, is it really doesn't seem to do it all that much. I've seen it a couple of times, and it's pretty rare. I've seen it more in communities where it'll moderate out a whole post out of existence. But that's different than moderating a comment on a post itself.
Because communities have it's more controlled in a way that comments, they used to be very, 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 very public. Therefore, there's a level, when it comes to Google and like speech, I mean, there is like a certain level where, I mean, yeah, it's a thin line between free speech and spam, but I mean, you really got to draw that line, and that's where that algorithm, I mean, it's hard to make an algorithm on that.
So traditionally, spam is like a link to, buy something, right? I mean, the spam isn't high.
Spam high tends not to score high on a spam factor, but other things besides sales can come up in it. I want to quickly get these before they disappear. Charlie makes a comment in the second part of this. Yes, the anti-spam tools are far better in my 3 days of experience. The Awesome Man 120 asks, will we get to use the tools? In theory, yes, you will.
What tools?
Well, there are a couple of tools that, in theory, are employed. The first is that if you made the comment on Google+, this would be a post, then the replies to that comment on Google+, these would be comments. If one of them gets marked as spam, you as the owner of that post can choose to say, no, wait a minute, this isn't spam. Or for one that isn't, yes, you get to play babysitter.
Okay.
So some of those babysitting tools are the tools that we're talking about. Presumably, it'll start learning from this. I don't know. I don't know the details of how it works. They have commented that they've got some knobs that they can tweak on their end, and they'll see how it's working and can adjust adjust those knobs.
You get a thing, Alan. You'll get a. When you look at the comments on your video, it'll say, comment from Charlie Ellingson. It says this comment has been marked as spam. In other words, he said something good about the new comment system, and someone didn't like it, and so they marked it as spam. So it disappears from other folks, or it says, and we don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow when this video is processed, right? But for now, I don't think they see it, but I can unflag it as the owner. It says only you can do this. I can determine it's not spam, which I did, right? So that's one control. And what's also interesting, I was just thinking, is all of these comments on the Google Plus post are now going to appear on this YouTube video. So it's more comments for people to consume on YouTube, and maybe motivation for them to comment on Google Plus is because now if they do, then people, if they like the comment and are interested in that person, they can find their profile on Google Plus and engage with them.
Dan, we have this elaboration from Charlie. Wait, where did it go? We have this. Here it is. We had this elaboration from Charlie on what some of the tools look like, talking about how it's in some ways improved things. You say, so if they say something once, it might show once, but if they keep repeating it, it might not show on further repetitions. So it's detecting, at least from his observation over the past 3 days, it's detecting that if somebody keeps saying the same thing, that it will eventually say, hey, this person isn't contributing anything new, they're not contributing anything useful, and start shutting them down. And I'm speculating. This is pure speculation on my part, but I wonder also if they start seeing somebody just keeps repeating this, either repeating the same thing or repeating one or two words just in multiple posts, or just, it can judge, at least on some very, very gross level, what low quality input is. If it starts detecting that, it might just start shuffling that into the spam category. It sounds like, okay, Dan, if you want to reload the standalone comment tracker, Gerwin's posted a fix.
That's what I actually was just posting, and just to show folks, what I do is I can show you when I do this thing here where I have when I have the comments up on the screen. I'm running the comment tracker. He said he's fixed something, so it'll stop deleting it. So I do this. I have a window here. This is my broadcasting software on the right, and then I have this window here where I'm running this standalone comment tracker, which you can find at allmyplus.com/comment tracker with a hyphenated comment tracker there, right? But this is awesome, and this doesn't just work on YouTube. It works on any Google Plus post. So you don't have to just use it for Hangout on Airs or YouTube Live. It works on any Google Plus post. And but anyway, so what I do is I capture this for this shot here. When I want to just overlay, and I just use chroma key to get the white out, and it looks really cool. But anyway, I'm going to try it, Gerwin, and if it happens again, I'll alert you. So Alan, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay, because I was just trying to capture some more comments. It sounds like, however, Charlie's been exploring the anti-spam tools. So, Pam and anyone else interested, I would recommend checking out some of his comments on this video. He's got some insights, which I'm not going to go into more. But it does sound like there are tools that are there, tools that are rolling out, tools that need to be tweaked, perhaps. But they're there, and we'll see how well they work.
I can tell the Duck Dynasty story again.
It's okay, Dan. Really.
It's really okay.
It's really okay.
So, are we almost at topic 2?
I don't know. We've only been going for like an hour and 15 minutes.
What's the record? About 3 hours on one topic?
I don't think we've gone longer than about 2 hours on one topic before.
I think that was like when Jobs died. It was pretty long. I think.
We just had this question.
When Pam and Ellis have fallen asleep, we kind of went long during the show.
We had this quick question from the Awesome Man 120 asking so this means that the feature to hide the spam is missing. No, if you see something as spam and you mark it as spam, it goes away.
Also, Awesome Man, remember that what you're seeing now is the older system while we're live. And then once we end the broadcast, it'll remain the old system while YouTube processes it during that time when you can still stream or whatever back and forth. And then once it's posted, the permanent archived version on YouTube, then the view count's at 0, but the comments remain, and then either immediately or soon thereafter, the new commenting system will appear. So that, I guess, the installation of the new commenting system is part of the processing now, which may explain why some of these videos are taking longer to process. But I'm not sure. I'm speculating. But right now we're looking at the old system, and these tools are available in the new system, largely, which will be on this video, but not until it's done and processed fully. A few hours after, a few minutes or several minutes or a few hours after it's over. Alan, in New York?
Excuse me, I'm just, choking here.
So I made this Duck Dynasty video. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I really think we're pretty good then. Any comments from anybody further on comments? I guess not. So with that...
Alan's favorite new feature, the Vanity URL.
My favorite new feature. In fact, I had a veiled reference to it earlier as well. I mentioned that the Google Plus Help community has about 50% of its posts are talking about the new YouTube commenting feature.
Praising it, I'm sure.
While the other 50% are talking about Vanity URLs. Now, we covered this last week, talking about how they started to roll out. They are still rolling out, and as part of the rollout, they've now taken a turn for the stupider! As if that was freaking possible! I mean, oh my god!
Could you elaborate on that?
I could. So one of the problems with...
I've got the rant slide up, Alan, just so you know.
What was that, Dan?
I've got the rant slide up.
Thank you, Dan. So one of the issues that I identified 2 years ago with Vanity URLs are coming up with ones that are not going to conflict with other people that don't look stupid, i.e. that don't have this totally arbitrary and bogus number after your name, because that just looks stupid and immature and
inevitable.
Dorky. And what was that, Michael?
You said that you didn't like that they had numbers after like a name if they're common names?
I said that it looks stupid is what I said.
I mean, but it's like inevitable?
Yes! It's inevitable!
Yeah.
Exactly!
But
it doesn't make it any less stupid!
It is better, though, than the 10, 12, 16-digit numbers.
No, it isn't.
Why not? Who can remember those 12 freaking... You can remember 4 to 6?
Because now... it doesn't make it any easier for me to remember. It doesn't make it any easier for me.
What do you mean it doesn't?
Really? If I'm telling you my URL, are you going to remember that I am Alan Furstenberg 42?
I would more likely remember that than the freaking long string of numbers that was there before.
But the thing is, I wouldn't give you the freaking long string of numbers.
You know Alan 42.
I wouldn't give it to you. I would give it to Alan at furstenberg.org.
You know it. You give that before you give the freaking long-digit number.
I would. My point is that they created a totally false association here. That's not useful.
What's the false association?
The false association is the fact that I've got something to do with Google.
What?
Michael, let me ask you something. Okay, in the Google Plus help community, how many people are complaining about having to put something after their name?
None.
None? Go look at the forum again,
specifically, dude. No.
Go look at the forum again, dude.
I'm sorry?
Go look at the forum again.
No. Let me tell you what they're complaining about. They're complaining about having to change. They want the ability to change it to whatever they want.
No, they want two things. One is they want to change it to whatever they want.
Yeah.
And two is they're being told they need to put a number after their name.
They're being suggested that.
No, they're being told they have to. People who don't put the number after their name are being told that it's not acceptable.
They can change. They can put another word after their name too. I mean, they don't have to put numbers.
Oh, so that's gonna. I'm sorry. That makes an even stupider URL.
Hey, it's it's better to remember than nothing.
George Cozy disagrees with you as well.
You can say that way. That is, you have to opt into Vanity URLs. If you like the numbers, by all means. Most people can remember something than a string of numbers.
Here's the thing, though, Michael. It's not so much that I like the numbers, because honestly, I don't care. I don't use them. Most people don't hand out a URL.
So why does it matter then? If people
because for some reason
before, then continue searching, right? And forget about Vanity URLs. Forget about the numbers.
Well, then why was everybody whining about wanting a Vanity URL, and now everybody is whining about not getting the one that they wanted?
I mean, I don't think
whine.
I don't think these are vanity URLs. A vanity URL would be, something that you decide to come up with completely separate from your name potentially. I mean, I guess you could use your name as a vanity URL as you please, but if it was going to be a vanity URL, I should be able to, you should be able to use prisoner as your vanity URL. That would be a vanity URL. Alan.Furstenberg is not a vanity URL.
I think they just got that from license plates. That's the terminology people think of when you have a personalized license plate as opposed to a generic number the DMV gives you.
This is not personalized.
It's a term that yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
It's not 7842365. Whatever. It's
personalized would be if you had a if you had something personal attached to it.
It generates it from your
name. Isn't personal.
Dan McDermott is more personal than a string of 75 characters, and a lot easier to get someone to type.
And it suggests it's from your account.
Word.
No, I mean, like I said, they should call it something else, but
they do call it something else. I'm the one that calls it a vanity URL.
Yeah, he calls it.
Are you one of those YouTube people, Anthony?
Excuse me?
Are you trolling us right now? Are you one of those YouTubers?
No, I'm not trolling you. I'm not Craig. I'm not playing Craig right now.
Craig plays a vital role in this program, trolling us.
You are right on top of your camera.
The camera you're seeing is different.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this topic's going quicker.
Wow, I'm kind of surprised. Well, no, I'm not, because, despite the fact that I'm right and everybody disagrees with me, there really isn't all that much more to say.
It's a smart move, though, because a lot of people are going to put on their business cards plus.google.com or google.com/plus Dan McDermott, and that's just going to drive more traffic to Google Plus, right? This was a very smart move that they sat on the fence too long for, I think.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's a smart move.
Why?
I think they kind of, and I will agree that they sat on the fence too long, but I don't think they came up with a good solution for sitting this way for 2 years.
Do you think google.com/plus Bruce Turner, which is my vanity URL, is better than facebook.com/Blue Ridge Bruce? My chosen name over there.
I don't know. Blue Ridge Bruce sounds kind of like a party name.
So if you had a page named Blue Ridge or whatever it is, and it fits all the other criteria, it would suggest you Blue Ridge, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. To be honest, I think both of them are equally useless. I think right now the only sort of vanity URL that's useful is a Twitter one, which doesn't say twitter.com. It just says, everyone who talks about it just says at whatever. You don't need to put the Twitter there because everyone knows it. I think that's better.
Okay, the same thing plus whatever.
It's not going to catch on, Michael.
It doesn't have to catch on. It does not. That's why it's opt-in.
Well, it would catch on if Google pushed it.
And
it'll
here's the
catch
final
on
thing.
to a degree and will increase people coming to Google Plus because people are going to put this on their business cards and their websites.
And here's the final thing. For anybody who has a quarter of a brain, you're not going to put all of them on your business card anyway. We question how much brain you have sometimes, Dan.
You could use the back.
You're not going to put it on your URL at all. You're not going to put it on your business card at all. You're going to put it on your domain name. And the reason why is because your domain name has a hell of a lot more and better uniqueness than any of this other crap.
Also, you own it.
And when Google decides to change the URL format on you in a year or 2 or 3, and they're going to, or when Facebook folds, or when Reddit becomes popular, you don't have to change your business card.
When Twitter changes theirs too, they can change something tomorrow too. They just went public.
Yes, they can change anything, and that's my point.
What was the point?
Is controlling it through your domain name is far better than relying on somebody else.
Who just joined? Was it Sreek? Oh, Jody's here. I was hoping it was Sreek.
Bruce, what's this comment you got?
Yeah, Michael Daniels, great comment. We should all put our social security number as our vanity URL. That would be some fun.
What do you think the government does?
By the way, just a quick note to Gerwin. I'm running the standalone comment tracker, and I refreshed after you said to, and it just, that comment Bruce just made, it just crossed it out with the lines, and it disappeared from the standalone tracker. And if I refresh the standalone tracker, who was it from, Bruce?
Michael Daniels.
Okay, it's
the one referencing the social security number. He has some other post in here.
Yeah, it's well, I see it again. Once I refresh, it's there. So it's
okay.
A unique bug that'll be fun for you to track down, Gerwin, and we appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, and it's even better in Hangout Toolbox, which now has absolutely no comments in it at all.
That's why Moritz is hiding from us tonight. I think it's because I put the troll picture in the YouTube thumb. He's afraid to join tonight. But he's also a single guy in Ireland, so he might be partying or something. He might have a life. Not to discount all the fun things we do on Friday night. Okay, so anyway. Someone was saying.
He's deep frying Kit Kat bars is what I heard.
God, that sounds good, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
It sounds like a heart attack.
It sounds like violent diarrhea for hours.
Ew.
Explosive.
Well, this show is really, really...
Yeah, I just got a screen capture. Let me show it. This is what it does for folks who don't know what we're talking about. I'll share my screen here, and I'm going to paste this into Microsoft Paint, that advanced program. But what it does here, I got the comment tracker, and it puts lines through all these things, and then they disappear. So if I'm going to switch to this other screen, the first comment, see on the left here, it crossed everything out above Calais' comment. Some people want a custom URL. It crossed all these above it out, the newer ones. And then if I switch to the live screen here, I see Calais' comment is at the top. So the others are gone. And so now I'm going to refresh and see if those things return. And I look down here and I see it appears, let's see, George Cozy now, they're back. So they're not permanently gone. A refresh will fix it. But this is basically a little quick tech support or thing for Gerwin. So go ahead.
Before this vanishes, I want to get Chuck's comment here. As interesting as the vanity URL may seem on a business card, having the website icon with the name next to it would actually be better and would be more likely to get people to look for it. And that's kind of my point. I agree. Having this long list of different identifiers from different services is not nice looking on a business card. having one domain name that you control does.
Yes, that's what Craig does. He just, I mean, he talks about different domains, but he has craigship.com, and he's got a link to his YouTube, his Google+, Facebook, Twitter, everything from there. That's what you should do, because you own it. You don't have to worry about MySpace going out of business and you had a MySpace URL back in the day, or Facebook changing something, or starting to charge.
Once upon a time, people used to list, AOL screen names, and if you have that, or Hotmail accounts, and let's face it, if you have one of those on your business card right now, you're looking pretty stupid.
Also, you should never, ever, ever use the ISP's domain email address. I see people, so-and-so at Comcast.net. My dad had like Adelphia used to be the company here in our area, and then they went bankrupt, and Comcast bought them, and they eventually deactivated all those email addresses. So you're screwed. The only thing worse than that is we went through an area code change. We were area code 703, and then that got too many numbers because Northern Virginia grew like crazy, and so they made us area code 540. So every single business card, sign on my lawnmower, the sticker from the guy who repairs the lawnmower from years ago, all those phone numbers are obsolete. That's
but everyone knows
expensive
better than
change.
that. I mean,
most people
knows better than that.
A lot of people use the Comcast at Comcast.net email. A lot of people use that.
I meant as far as the area codes go.
Well, most people know that. The problem, Anthony, is if you've got somebody new to the area, and they run across a phone number that might be hanging around from years ago, they're not going to know that. Now, we're seeing a lot less of that. They're doing overlay area codes more than they used to, but as we've totally sidetracked. And
I'm actually considering embroidering QR codes in my Pinpoint Oxford button-down shirts, put right here on the pocket. You don't think that'll work?
I think my ADHD is rubbing off on Alan. He may cease to be right all the time if this continues.
Nah, I'm right.
So anyway,
sorry.
We all agree that Vanity URLs has been the most spectacular, flawless rollout in all Googledom.
I want to know what Pam thinks. She hasn't said anything about the Vanity URLs. Do you have yours, Pam?
Yes.
Okay.
I got mine the first day.
All right.
Yeah. Because I have a mobile phone number, which is not one of the things that they said where it was a requirement, but I guess it is.
They use it to verify. I mean, to.
Yeah, but there are plenty of people that don't have a mobile phone number, and they should have told people that that was a requirement instead of keeping it a secret until after they tried to activate it.
I forgot the other option. There's one other option, I believe.
Do we is that the number you drunk dial me from, Pam?
Yes.
And those naughty texts from that strange number in Menifee, California, that's likely you.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Did we get a good, how much, did Jody get to rein in much on the first topic, Alan?
Well, she's always welcome to add more.
Not to beat a dead horse, but did you have any thoughts? We've discussed every possible aspect of this, Jody, as far as the YouTube comment integration. My thinking is it's going to, in the near term and the long term especially, it's going to improve the quality of comments on YouTube. Less not eliminate, but make it a little bit better as far as quality and less gutter stuff. And at the same time, diminish the quality of comments on Google+. Because some of that stuff is filtering in here already. Now, it's early days. And I also think that this is going to result in a major boost to Google Plus's numbers, because really now YouTube and Google Plus are the same thing as far as comments. So if you want to comment, if for no other reason than to troll the new comment system, you've got to activate your Google Plus identity. Do you have any thoughts on any of this stuff, Jody?
Well, I always have thoughts, but here's my take on it. YouTube has gotten away forever with people making these fake accounts and creating comments and spamming other accounts, or they're buying comments on their YouTube channel in order to boost it. And by requesting or by demanding that somebody, before they can make a comment, that they have to have a Google Plus account, and linking those together and also we know that Google Plus, at least initially, you had to use your real name. I think the idea is to minimize the amount of trolling or the amount of deceptive comments that are being put out there. What it does do, in addition to that, is it kind of gives more visibility. If somebody is truly trying to hurt somebody else by creating derogatory comments, then those are going to be linked to Google Plus, and it's going to get more exposure. I think, I mean, we've been playing by the old rules. These are the new rules. So I think it's just a matter of time before everybody catches on to the new rules and how they work. But hopefully it'll minimize the amount of derogatory and spam-like comments that, unfortunately, in my opinion, have plagued YouTube, specifically plagued YouTube. How's that?
How much do you think this is really going to address that problem?
I think it's going to have a huge impact. I mean, not to say that you can't create a fake Google Plus account, but I think it's another barrier to entry. It becomes more difficult.
Here's a quick one from George. It's an interesting question. Does greater numbers in Google Plus mean less quality?
Possibly.
I don't think so.
Oh, we've disagreed about this multiple times, Alan. I think it does.
I think lowering the age limit to 13 absolutely does.
I don't know. I think there's already this undertone out there. I mean, for God's sakes, there are communities about men's chest hair. How low? Oh, wait a minute, Pam. Isn't that one of yours?
So,
but you know what?
That I don't get. But yeah, it does. The 13-year-old, don't they kind of? I mean, I rarely have a young teenager interact on my post because I don't post about stuff that they're interested in, whatever that is. I have no idea. But
wait a minute.
I think that they kind of do their own thing, and they're in their own little communities, and posting back and forth and stuff, doing their own thing, and it's kind of like a separate.
My kids in high school, they were already on these accounts, and they put that they were 99 years old. There's no checks and balances. Nobody goes in and says, "Oh,
right.
Wait a minute, you're really only 13."
Yep.
I mean, age limit. I don't know. I mean, it's to protect the channel, not to protect the kids, because kids are going to say they're whatever age. It's really the parents' responsibility to monitor what their kids are doing.
It's funny that they're all on YouTube using the most foul language imaginable and watching these crazy things, and they were protecting them from Google Plus, which was basically like a bunch of male tech geeks talking about gadgets and photos. I mean, kind of surreal, really. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, there's no substitute for parental supervision and, frankly, parental monitoring. If your kid's on the internet, you should go NSA on their ass and see what they're doing. And if you don't, then you're going to have a problem because kids are curious and they're going to do bad stuff. So, but I don't think it's a problem. I think they keep to themselves. I don't see kids trolling my posts. But then I don't post about, like I said, I don't post about stuff that they're necessarily interested in. I'm kind of a geek and a politics guy. News, that kind of stuff. That's not up their alley. I'm not their target demo.
But it was an interesting question that Alan brought up, that George, I guess, brought up, about the greater numbers in Google+. And I think we all saw that happen with Twitter. When Twitter started to blossom, and then all of a sudden you had all of the Britneys that started showing up, the bot people. They weren't real people, they weren't real accounts, they were just manufactured accounts because somebody got this idea that your influence was a function of how many people you had following you. So people started buying followers and, I mean, I just think that, unfortunately, Twitter and then I think Facebook kind of followed suit. I mean, there's a heck of a lot of Facebook accounts that aren't real people. And I think that currently, Google Plus seems to be a little bit better, but I mean, when you start talking about adding the numbers, is it just a matter of time before
they're always going to try, Jody? But and it's important to note, spam accounts can destroy a social network. I think that was a lot of MySpace's demise toward the end, and they just had a big layoff announced today. By the way, believe it or not, they're laying people off.
We'll cover business news later in the show.
But that can destroy a social network. Toward the end. I stopped using because I was on Facebook, and then of course Google Plus came down the road. But toward the end, you'd log into MySpace, and just doing any kind of activity, you would, within a minute, have like 30 spam messages, to where it got like, whoa, I'm not putting up with this crap. And that will, if you don't keep a tight control on that, if you don't make it difficult for people to create fake accounts and, you know, buy Viagra and, you know, rescue your long lost relative by giving me your bank account, etc. Look at my pics on this other social network. If you don't keep a tight rein on that and figure out how to deal with that, Facebook's pretty good at it. Google Plus, I think, is better at it. Then
and YouTube stinks at it.
You can destroy your network and people will stop using it.
I'm sorry, did you say Facebook was good at it?
I think they're pretty good at it. I don't get too many. Nothing like MySpace, where I'd get 30 a day. I get one every couple weeks, if that, maybe once a month. I'll get some, you know, hot chick with 3 male friends, and, you know, I don't hang out here all the time because they delete my posts, check me out on this URL, you know, that kind of crap. I don't get that often. Not like MySpace. MySpace, they just almost like didn't care about it or couldn't figure it out. Back in the day, right? We're talking years ago. So there.
Next topic?
I have no idea what that is, to be honest, nor did I put it in. Did you put it in?
I put it in, although...
Oh, this is the ratings bonanza topic.
Yeah. Well, hey, usually we have our ratings bonanzas, you know, up at the front.
I'm a former high school teacher, so I will weigh in on this.
So go ahead and weigh in on this, Dan.
I haven't read it yet. I have no idea. I didn't get to bed till 8:30 in the morning. Then I woke up at 3:30 in the afternoon after putting some
okay, Dan.
Weird posts up.
Dan, before you get too sidetracked, why don't you go read the story? Jody, let's get your comment, and then we'll go on to this.
Well, I like this comment because Charlie Ellingson mentioned me. He says, yes, Jody, that's how Ray William Johnson got to be the most subscribed YouTuber when he was also Lisa Nova, who started Maker Studios. So,
I've already lost track of what I was responding to, though.
Oh, he was talking about the
buying.
Buying people.
Buying people. Yeah, and there was a period in there when he was also Lisa Nova, the creator of Maker Studios. So it was 2 people. He wasn't inferring that that person was 2 people.
I have no idea what the hell y'all talking about. You're saying that
that's because you're supposed. No, that's because you were supposed to be reading the
prep for the next story, Dan.
Yeah.
Go prep for the next story. We can go here on our own. We're fine.
Fine, no problem.
Well, and then George Cozy says, of course, trolling like that happens. As a kid, have you never yelled a profanity in a long, dark, empty corridor to hear? Oh, I think he means to hear the echo. It's just something that kids do.
That's true.
That's true, and some of the kids on YouTube are, 30. Doesn't make them any less kids.
I know, right? And
Jody?
then Chuck Cortez says, the irony that people complain about things like spam and foul language and demand something be done, and when they implement the idea of requiring a G+ account in order to comment, everyone cries foul.
Everyone is not crying foul. As much as Redditors are, because, this is what they do on Reddit while they're at it. I've seen surveys that, they're not scientific, but there's more people that are in favor of the changes than opposed to the changes. There's a very vocal minority that are opposed to the changes, and, well, they can be pretty vocal. But I think on the whole, this is being received very well. Bunch of nods all around. Dan, you finished reading the article yet?
Yeah, it's a Google Plus post, and then it links to this thing.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, so what this is, it's connected classrooms, and I would speculate that this was probably inspired by Sarah Hill. I remember when she was getting Google Glass, and she's a former KOMU TV anchor, and a prominent, she's been on the show a couple times, or several times, I think, and then she went to Veterans United, and when she applied for Google Glass, she said that the reason she wanted it was so she could go to places like a Veterans Memorial and do a a live tour. So veterans who were not able to go for whatever reason, maybe they're elderly, etc., they could experience the tour. So what they're doing is they are putting, I'm going to share my screen here, they're connecting teachers, and it's called Connected Classrooms, and there's a video you can look at, but if you, the URL is connectedclassrooms.withgoogle.com, and or if you just go to Google and type in Connected Classrooms, you should be able to find it. So here's some upcoming field trips. The Philadelphia Museum of Art, Traditions and History of the U.S. Army Field Band. Imagine if you were a band student and you could talk to someone in the Army band and ask questions. Earth Echo International, what happens when we flush? You know, where does it go? How does that work? Just really interesting stuff. And I'm thinking that if you were a student studying the history and appreciation of art, for example, and you could do a live hangout where someone has glass or some other device, and they're going through the Louvre in France, and they're showing stuff. And there's plenty of videos and textbooks about the Louvre, websites. But what if you had a tour guide who did this all the time, was an expert in France, and your class could be there, and you could watch this tour and ask questions. You know, I don't understand this. Why did he paint this way? Or why is the painting this size? Or what have you? What sort of materials did they use at the time? All those things. It's just fascinating because it's all, just like the internet. The biggest strength of the internet, in my opinion, is it removes the geographic boundaries that have separated us, throughout history. I can talk to George Cozy online for free. I can have a video conference with Brad in Australia for free, and we can exchange cultural things and knowledge, and we're not limited to having friends only within walking distance like we were 200 years ago. So it's fascinating. This is just a natural extension to extend into education, and there's plenty of ways to do a video conference, but in the past they were expensive and cumbersome. Now you could have your Android phone or your iPhone and be anywhere and enter into a hangout, and you could be at the scene of a breaking news event, or you could be at the scene of they're blowing up an old historic building to make way for a new one, and you could have some middle schoolers watching it and then interview the guy who's in charge of the team that demolishes the building, and the little kids could ask him questions. It's just a fascinating tool, and it just makes it more accessible to the masses. You could be dirt poor with no assets, and you could participate in this, whereas before there was a cost, and before that a geographic barrier to entry. So I think this is fantastic. So back to you, Alan. Any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think this is cool. I think it's good to see Google getting behind it. But I think this is ultimately going to rest on, and it's part of their broader effort about bringing educational tools to people, about encouraging education. We're seeing a lot of that from Google right now, which is a really classic example of getting into the classroom and getting people hooked on their brand in the classroom.
Let me make a 10-second point, Alan. This is another example
10
of
seconds,
why they had to fix the YouTube comment thing. This is a tremendous effort. Now, sure, it promotes Google Plus and makes the platform more relevant and helps them in that way. At the same time, it's a neat thing that they didn't have to do. Probably loses more money than they gain. And this is why they had to fix the YouTube comments, because that was an embarrassment that reflected poorly on these sets of things. Back to you, Alan.
That was 22 seconds, Dan, but that was very good. I'm very proud of you.
For me, that's pretty good performance, yeah.
So Michael Daniels gave another example. The Atlanta Zoo is doing this, and they are, I believe, part of this program. They've got 6 classes from around the United States that they discuss, for example, so they could talk about bald eagles. They do show and tell, and then the classes can ask questions. I think, clearly this is part of Google's broader education effort. We've seen them talking about this a number of times. They've talked about getting Chromebooks into classrooms. They've talked about Google Play for Android being pushed into classrooms. They've talked about an international classroom presence. I think this is another effort on their part to get the Google name into classrooms. And on one level, that's a very cynical point of view that I realize I'm proposing here. But on the other hand, I think it's good, because I always like to see when companies are able to use some of their power to improve the state of education?
I think it's crucial, Alan, because it's about the follow-up question. You can ask your question, you can read something, you can watch a video, but a young mind learning about something for the first time, learning about a cheetah or an art museum or how a car is made or whatever. What happens when you flush a toilet, right? We don't know. I don't know exactly what happens. A young mind learning those things and being exposed to that for the first time at these precious ages when your mind is like a sponge just sucking up knowledge. If you're able to ask that follow-up question, well, wait, what about this thing? Or I don't understand. That is epic. And this allows it anywhere in the world that has internet connectivity, which is basically, you know, an ever large increasing plurality and majority of places. So I think it's fantastic. I can't speak
any
highly
thoughts
enough
from
about
anybody
this.
else? Anthony, your thoughts on this?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Jody?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a nothing and a yes. Michael?
Yes.
Are you for or against the new educational initiative, Michael?
2 yeses and a nothing. Pam?
I think it's a great idea. I don't see the downside. In fact, Google has to get in. Okay, I'm going to go along the lines of your cynical comment. Google has to get into the classroom because Apple's already getting there with their iPads. A lot of school districts are buying iPads for their students, and Google has to compete with that.
That's an interesting point. Is a lot of schools are buying iPads and a lot of schools are buying Chromebooks, and it's an interesting competition that the two of them are having.
And
I'm
tablet,
not sure people are really aware of that.
I don't think there's a competition in the tablet world. I think they're getting iPads. As far as laptops, Chromebooks got some game. But Apple's been strong in classrooms for 20 years. That's always been one of their strongest areas, especially on the West Coast.
Dan, they've been strong in classrooms for 30 years.
You're old, Alan. You
I
got
am
knowledge.
Well seasoned, Dan.
And I would say, just if I do toot my own horn, I think I did a pretty good synopsis of that story, having cribbed for all of 2 minutes to prep.
Yes, we're very proud of you.
Especially with my ADD and limited sleep.
Do you even know what the next story is?
I have no idea. But I know to throw it to Alan Furstenberg, who's going to bring us our next... Viewers, our next exciting story is brought to you by Alan Furstenberg, who's live in New York.
So let me ask, Michael, do you have a Helpout yet?
Oh gosh, now that's my rant right there.
Really? Let's hear your rant about Helpouts, Michael, because I'm sure they parallel mine.
What?
Maybe a synopsis of what that is,
what
the status of it is would work.
So the summary on this one is it's been rumored now for like 3 or 4 months that Google was going to be releasing something called a Helpout. Mm-hmm. And exactly what a Helpout was kind of unclear at first, and more information came out over time. What it basically is it allows people to create training sessions and to be able to charge for these training sessions. And they take place through a Hangout-like system. Looks a shocking amount like a Hangout, actually.
How they used to be.
For obvious reasons. And you can set up a fixed fee or a per-minute fee and pay for it using Google Wallet. You can schedule it, and it'll show up on your Google Calendar. So there's a lot of interesting aspects to this. A lot of for-fee educational systems are now available through this method. And on Monday, they launched Hangouts in the middle of the night.
Helpouts.
Helpouts. They launched Helpouts in the middle of the night? I mean,
somebody might have needed help.
It was the daytime somewhere.
That's true. This is available in other places besides the U.S. Although, was it available? It might have been available in Australia, so yes, it might have launched there during the day. But this was kind of a weird launch for Google. I don't think it was a very successful launch. I mean, they profiled about 1,000 or so sessions that were available, but a lot of people who were expecting to be live on day one weren't. Including me. I'll be honest there. My experience with them has been poor, to say the least. I think the concept is great. I think this will eventually be a really neat system, and I think if somebody else had done it, it wouldn't have gotten the press that it deserved. But I'm not sure Google is really the best ones to have done this.
Who gets the money?
You get, I believe it's 80% of the fee. Google takes a 20% cut.
That's probably better than average.
Oh my God! Can I share something real quick? This is funny. Charlie,
Okay.
I was trolling my I was pulling a Craig ship and I was showing look on the top right of my screen here. I see Charlie has shared my Duck Dynasty video, and he said, "Wow, I had not seen this. By the way, the new
Lord.
YouTube comments are awesome," in all caps. Oh my
You're
God,
gonna be
Charlie
making a lot more
rocks.
money from Duck Dynasty this week, I can tell.
Yeah, twice my rent. Every week, every month. Go ahead, Alan. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Dan.
I got another view. I got another 0.001 cents.
There's nothing more we want to hear about on this show than Duck Dynasty.
I've never even seen the show. Isn't that funny? And they pay my rent twice over. I've never watched the show. I didn't know their names.
I was at Walmart yesterday.
Half the store is Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, they have Duck Dynasty adult footy pajamas in pink camouflage.
Cups, plates, a whole picnic set.
Yeah.
Duck Dynasty camo. I've never seen it. Good for them, man. I mean, I'm surrounded by rednecks in Front Royal, Virginia, let me tell you. Good for them that they're making some bank. I'm sorry.
Dan?
Alan,
Okay.
I apologize. Did I accidentally interrupt your topic?
It's not my topic, Dan. It's your show.
I didn't put the topic in, nor have I read it. I was a little tired today, so go ahead.
So, Michael, what are your experiences so far with Helpouts?
Well, I've been waiting to get approved probably longer than you. But it's been an obscene amount of time.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, basically the way this goes is you submit a what's the word I'm looking for? A topic or a session, basically, and then you get interviewed about that session.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've conducted this interview, you're in a pending state.
And mine went through awesomely well. I mean, I had a great interview.
Right, and once you're in this pending state, you seem to sit there forever.
Exactly.
I mean, when was your interview, Mike?
I can't say.
You can say. Everyone knows that they were done months ago.
Are they going overboard in, obviously, this is to prevent scammers and spammers from taking advantage of people and giving them a bad name. Others places like, I would say this is similar to elance.com or freelance.com, these things that are basically an eBay for people, where you can rate, or Uber, where the taxi drivers can rate the customers and vice versa and give them stars and comments. Why wouldn't they just go with something like that? Because they already have a system like that for Google Shopping, and apply it to the people. I know if you have 75 reviews and 4.5 stars and comments from people who have left many comments on other people, then that would be a good vetting process. And we're all kind of used to doing that when we buy an Amazon product or Google Shopping product or eBay product. We look at the seller's rep.
Google Play Store. I mean, remember, this is, the Google Play Store launched, and one of its big features, or when it was the Google Android Store or whatever it was called at the time, and its big feature was that, apps would have this streamlined process to go in. They wouldn't need to be reviewed by a person. There would be an automated review, and it would go in the store. You could get an app up on the store within a matter of hours, as opposed to a matter of weeks, which is what it took with Apple. Now Google seems to think that taking a matter of weeks is a perfectly acceptable thing.
Maybe they need to take the healthcare.gov people off of Helpouts and put the Google Play people on. And that was a dig just then. I don't know if you caught that.
We caught that one.
I don't know if you saw what I did there.
Yeah.
And George Nathan, thank you very much for the compliment. We appreciate that.
So go ahead, Michael.
Another weird thing is, like, people that were approved that had access to it before they launched, if you edited any part of your help out, it went back to the pending stage. And no word on if it will just automatically come back approved if you need to do another interview or anything about that.
Yeah, there's this big dearth of information, even if you ask. So we had this question from Michael Daniels, still not approved. Haven't heard anything? When I conducted my interview, when I had my interview with them, I said, okay, so what's the next step? And this was a month ago, and their reply was, oh,
wait on email.
They said you'll get an email,
yep.
But you're good to go when we launch.
Yeah, that's what I got.
And we launched and we got nothing.
So yeah, what did you do?
So I tried to establish a help out with them, and
I did
that didn't work. So I called them, and they said, well, your stuff all looks good. You should be all set to go soon.
Yeah, same thing.
Got nothing. Sent an email. They said, well, all looks good to go. You're now in the hands of quality assurance. And
same department, yes.
And I said, great. Any idea on how long that'll take? No, of course not.
I did see somewhere, like someone posted something about it could be as far as December. Since they have such a backlog, but it could be months.
Are they focusing on certain topics? Like if you're this, I'm guessing this idea was just straight up stolen from Joe Sod, right?
No.
Our friend who does Chef Hangout and is
I'm
wonderful
certain
program where you can have a chef and hang out and they're teaching you how to do a recipe. But you think they're focusing on certain subject areas first so they can market in like the food websites as an example, if they're doing food first? I have no idea, because I know that they said they were specifically looking at certain categories.
Food is one of the areas that they have, and it's a pretty broad category. It's a very popular category. Technology is, for obvious reasons, another one.
Wouldn't you think that technology and photography would be the top two categories that would have focused on initially, since their audience is natively on Google Plus? As far as the rollout?
This is a whole separate team.
Yeah, this is really nothing to do with Google Plus.
Obviously.
I think the most surprising category that I've seen is the fact they've got a healthcare category.
I saw a pet category.
I think it's healthcare.gov/helpouts. And then,
well,
you hit the F5 key.
Skipping back just a step.
Did I mention my Duck Dynasty video?
The reason why I'm surprised they're doing healthcare at all is because the requirements for doing healthcare online are stringent, and yet they actually got some companies to buy into this idea.
This would be great for like Gary Levin, right? I think he's ophthalmology. I think was his field, or he's a retired doctor. You could do an ask a doctor, ask a nurse, all sorts of things. But is there liability attached? Do you think that's the thing? They're afraid of getting sued or the bad PR?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, as George just pointed out, if Google wouldn't vet the Helpout offerings, everyone would be up in arms about quality and safety. This is too important not to have a vetting process attached to it. Have to wait a few weeks before being approved. Boo-hoo-hoo.
Weeks? Try months.
And that's the problem, George. It's not, I think all of us agree. I don't think any of us have a problem with the vetting process. Say that one, Jody. Go ahead.
Michael Daniels says, maybe, Alan, you can use Google Helpout to get a Helpout with Helpouts.
Already exists.
It exists. To their credit, they are dog-fooding this. One of the ways that you can get help is to ask for a Helpout. Here's the problem. The first 2 days, it didn't work. You couldn't get a Helpout with somebody because the scheduler was broken.
They must have subbed it. Who'd they sub this out to? Because, like, Michael Banks, young, talented guy, he's well known. I know to Vic and Dotra on down. He's very well known to all those guys and gals. He's well known to Googlers. He was very active on every Google product, since he was like 5, and he hasn't been approved yet. So obviously this is an outsourced team, right? Is this like some third-party marketing company, like that epic fail when they did with the glass, where that woman said, what would you do if you had glass? And she said, I'd cut a bitch, haha, on Twitter, and she got approved. Yeah. I mean, is this like one of those teams? That's a true story.
I think it's an inside team.
I don't.
And I think it's at least partly inside.
I don't know any insider who's prominent in Google who doesn't know who Michael Banks is and wouldn't have approved him on site without even an interview.
Well, but here's the thing: people like Sarah Hill did get it. So there are a bunch of popular people who got early approvals. And I think George has a very valid point. Yes, it's not that we disagree with the vetting; it's that we kind of, and this is why I think it is a bunch of Google internal people, because they're following Google's practice of not saying anything. The problem is there were a bunch of people who were said, hey, if you get approved by such and such a date, you'll be ready for, you'll be there when we launch. And then we heard nothing, and then they launched. And we still hear nothing. That's the problem that we have. I don't think we have, if they were over capacity, if they had too many people applying for things that they couldn't vet them all in time, why did they keep getting more people? Why did they keep telling us that, we'd be ready for you on launch day? And why were we not, told, oh, it may take a little bit after launch?
I think it's that right hand, left hand, sort of situation where the supporting, the vetting people, and I think that piece was definitely...
Maybe they were afraid they'd screw it up.
I think
let's be honest. Maybe they were afraid they'd screw it up, and they wanted to get somebody who had done something similar in the past, some outfit, some company, to run this, so they didn't have to worry about it, and task people who are busy on other things. I mean, Google's spread pretty thin. My God, they're running freaking balloons over Africa.
I think the front end, the vetting people, I think that was outsourced, and I think the engineers are internal, as Alan says, because, I mean, some aspects of it, I was like, you're at a Google facility with that? But I mean,
I'd agree with that, Michael, but I've seen there are some really strange bugs that made it into production.
But I think make me wonder about. I think that's a Russian aspect. I think that's what that is. Because early before it came out, it was like, oh, we're launching early October, blah 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 blah. That time came. I mean, it seems rushed to me.
And that's funny. Yet a lot of it seems very polished, and
I don't.
And just some parts of it, you're just like, what happened here? I mean, I think the website itself looks very slick. Visually, I think it's one of Google's better visual sites.
How many offerings are there? I mean, how many different categories or?
There are about 6 or 7 different broad categories, and I think when it launched with a little over 1,000 different, about 1,000 sessions available.
Maybe they're doing, they've done rollouts in the past where they'd launch with X number, and then they'd find bugs, and they wouldn't add new entrants into the system until they fixed the bugs with the initial 1,000. Maybe that's what's going on.
And that's fine, but communicate it some way. You don't have to tell us exactly what's going on. Just don't tell us you're going to be ready this day and it doesn't happen.
Did you guys charge for your
Mine was free. Mine was free.
Well, here's the thing. The first 2 I set up as free because I didn't want to start charging somebody before I knew what I could do. I mean, they showed us videos. Here's what it's going to look like. They showed us a bunch of promotional videos. But until I got a chance to play with it, I didn't want to offer anything for a fee. And there was no way for me to play with it until I actually went through this whole process. So, I think, and this is kind of the frustration is I want to, I've offered 2 sessions out there. I have other ideas in mind, but each one of those it's going to take a month or 2 to approve. Am I supposed to put it in the pipeline now, even if it's not a fully baked idea?
During the interview, they want that fully baked idea. Because, I mean, they're asking questions like, how is it going to run when, someone jumps in hangout?
And that's fine, but until I've played with the system, I can't have a fully baked idea.
I see here, I'm looking at the page, and I'm sharing for the viewers.
This is at helpouts.google.com, by the way.
Right. So I went there, and I see I went to cooking, and I see Larry Fournier, who's just awesome, a super nice guy, and very talented chef. And he's got live Caribbean cookbook, Learn to Cook a Series of Island Dishes, and it's free. And you can schedule for later. The next available time is tomorrow November 9 at 10 a.m. I assume they're adjusting that for my Eastern time. And it's a very nice description here, a very simple interface. I see there's they're using the Auto Awesome to create an animated GIF of his intro video. I could click on and watch that right here in a little pop-up. And then he's got ratings, just like on eBay or Elance or freelance.com. He's got 13 5-star reviews and 2 4-star reviews, so you could judge that this guy has game, right? And then there's comments here you can read. And I think it's a great interface, and I'm suspicious that they're simply working on bugs before they expand it. Because if they expand it before they work out the bugs, they're just going to have a whole bunch more bug reports, duplicate bug repores, that they have to deal with. And so they're just kind of proceeding cautiously.
What does that have to do with the providers, though?
Well, did you guys flesh it out that well? I mean, because this looks like it's really well fleshed out.
You got a comment there, Jody?
Yeah, I do. Hold on, let me get back to that screen.
So,
Charlie Ellingson says Danny's going to apply, and he's going to say he can help people with the new YouTube comments because they're awesome. And he's going to do it tonight.
We need a term for a reverse troll, like a troll, but kind of a reverse troll. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
So,
could be a lot.
He's good though. He said he made 20 grand trolling some game or something. He would post videos. I guess he was posting YouTube videos trolling the game, and people would cuss him out, and he didn't care.
Jody, what do you mean by flesh it out?
So the example that Dan had on the screen has the animated GIF. It's got reviews. It has a lot of information about what this gentleman is going to be showing you and teaching you. So I guess my question is, if yours didn't get accepted yet, was yours a little bit not as full of information?
Well, part of it is who knows, because we couldn't see anybody else's posts early on.
Right.
But the interview that we went through, one of the things they do is they give you feedback on what you've written as part of that summary and your credentials. So those parts are what we had to fill out beforehand, and we had to explain it and justify it. On mine, I had used the term hangout, and she said don't use the term hangout. If you're going to refer to something, use helpout. So I'm like, good point, no problem, I can fix that. So yeah, it's some of those tweaks that they're talking about. How mine compared to anybody else's, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good write-up. Certainly comparing it to some of the ones that I see now, I still think it's a pretty good write-up.
What were you offering, Alan?
I have 2 sessions. One of them is a session on helping you design your Google glassware, and another one is a session on what I was calling Hangouts Beyond Business. So I was going to talk about how to use Hangouts to connect with friends and family, and what you can do in Hangouts aside from that, and kind of talk to a person, get some of the apps connected to them, and introduce them to what else Hangouts can do. Because you see a lot of talk about business use for Hangouts, not so much personal use for Hangouts.
Those are kind of niche appeal, though.
But so what? So they're niche appeal. I mean,
maybe that's not what they're looking for. Maybe they're looking for Larry is going to teach you how to cook Caribbean chicken.
You don't think teaching you how to cook Caribbean chicken is a niche?
I think
it's vastly more popular than a Google Glass thing.
Here's one, Dan. Do you think that learning how to program in C++ is a niche? Because that one's been approved.
I don't think it's a niche. I think it's taught in colleges across the country.
Nobody teaches C++ anymore.
They kicked it out of my program too.
I taught Turbo Pascal, if you want to know how old I am.
I've never heard of that.
Are you serious?
I've heard of Pascal, but not Turbo.
Yeah, Turbo Pascal.
Turbo Pascal was... No, we're getting sidetracked. Jody,
I was young, tall, and skinny like Alan.
We have this comment from George. Is Alan teaching how to make angry hand gestures to your webcam?
By the way,
oddly enough, George,
a quick note to our viewers. All the cool people follow George Cozy's posts. And he's awesome, he's smart, he's witty, and you should follow him. And I do claim credit for getting him to finally start posting publicly. I single-handedly did that. But you should follow George Cozy in the Netherlands. He's cool. Go ahead, Alan.
The funny thing, George, is one of the things that I propose, that I've talked about and that I'm considering doing, is charging to spend 15 minutes helping people improve their rants and ranting with them.
That you probably would have gotten approved, because you're really good at that, Alan.
And I was going to have to list this show as one of the criteria.
All right, we've exhausted this topic, correct?
Well, yeah, I think so.
If you need to help out,
Michael, what were your topics that you proposed?
I propose help with Google Plus.
That makes sense.
Are the experts that are reviewing your submissions experts in the topic that you are talking about? Because here's my thing, okay? Let's say I pay $25 for someone to give me workout tips or advice or whatever. Do they have a, exercise physiologist reviewing those tips, or is it just, oh yeah, looks good,
That's the thing, Pam. I'm thinking instead of a Google Glass topic, if you were, say, a realtor and you did a topic, how to dress up your home to make the sale, that would have a much wider appeal. And
a
generic person, an unskilled generic person could figure that out. If you had game or not.
Yeah. And I agree with you, but my issue is different. My issue is who is vetting the experts?
Yeah, good question, Pam.
Experts.
The answer is it's not entirely clear. We do know that there are different people vetting each broad category. So presumably they have at least some knowledge of the category. We know that in the health ones, they're very specifically, they're doing some extremely careful vetting in terms of qualifications. And in other ones, they're at least asking for why you're qualified to do this. And how much they're following up on that, I don't know. That might be something that the Quality Assurance Department is doing. And that might be why some of this is taking so long. But certainly, that's a really, really good question. I think the other half of it, though, is that they're still on some level going to be relying on, the feedback and the star rating. So, if you have a fitness session with somebody who, really doesn't know what a muscle is, you give them a low rating, 1. And if they charged you for it, you say you were unsatisfied and you want your money back, and Google has a 100% money back guarantee. So if this person starts, causing them trouble, they're kicking them out of the program.
I applaud that. I just think that if you're going to try to do it...
That's a little bit better, but, as soon as they start getting into, what do you call it, soft topics like relationships or how to make friends and influence others and, those kinds of things, then it becomes more of a, do you like Tony Robbins' way of doing things, or do you like,
well, and hopefully the person has
Judge Judy's way of doing things,
and hopefully the person's put that in their description and in the in their list of qualifications, which you see, and you'll be able to pick from that. So when I said, why am I qualified to teach this? I said, I'm a GDE, I'm a Glass Explorer, I've got X years of experience doing software development, I'm, this really awesome guy who, So,
maybe the problem is what Pam alluded to, that they don't have people competent to vet Alan for these topics. Maybe they don't.
Seriously, they invented Hangouts and Glass. I think that they can handle.
Google did. We don't know who's vetting. It could be outsourced, right?
Well,
like if Gary Levin did it for ophthalmology, do they have a trained ophthalmologist on the staff to vet that?
Look, maybe they're building a freaking barge out in the middle of the bay in San Francisco. You think that if they were spending, throwaway money like that, then they could at least have a couple of.
Some of these projects are independent things that are funded independently in separate companies. Glass is like that. Glass is billed as a Google project, but it's actually a separate company, I think. It's a separate venture.
But it's Google's money going into it, is Pam's point.
Correct, but it's still Google's the umbrella. It's not the actual.
Yeah, but it's
proprietor.
a different. So it's a different GL code. So they get a general ledger code. So they get
the evil accountant Pam emerges from the fray.
But the top decides how much goes into that ledger.
Yeah.
And you got to prove yourself to get
so
the money.
every project, project management happens to be my job title. Every project has a budget, so I'm sure that they have a budget for that kind of thing. And if they have a project manager running these help out, right?
I'm guessing
then they should have at least budgeted for stuff. That's probably why there's only 10 categories.
I think if you did, I think as an experiment, Alan and Michael, just as an experiment, I would suggest you pick a really mainstream topic as a test. Something like how to upgrade, how to confront Windows 8, or something like that. How to cook an epic Thanksgiving dinner. Something that would have a wide appeal and something that any moron could vet you.
Okay, Dan, you want to hear?
minutes.
Dan, you want to hear some of the current topics?
And see if it gets.
You want to hear some of the current topics?
Sure.
WordPress website help.
That's mainstream.
WordPress is mainstream?
Yes.
It's the most popular platform on the web.
Adobe Photoshop for beginners.
That's the most popular photo editing software. Continue.
Google Plus help.
Obviously a fan topic. Yeah, go ahead.
Video conferencing IQ.
Okay. I think any moron could evaluate your skills
JavaScript and jQuery.
All right, now we're getting in the weeds.
PHP code assistance.
PHP is fairly popular.
We have a lot of nice generic technical support things, which I'm not saying they're not valid. Just D-Link certified IP surveillance help.
Ooh.
Wow, that's in the weeds. All right.
I am the Tylenol for your technology headaches.
Oh wow.
I would study this is like a Kickstarter project. If apparently it's competitive, the barrier of entry is, and it may be random.
Making your Arduino project reliable.
What the hell's that?
Wow. See? Oh wow.
Now, just because I don't know what it is doesn't mean
Node.js
it's not
tutorials.
mainstream among a significant.
Oh, that's not mainstream. Oh no. That requires soldering and all these other things. No.
Drupal for beginners.
Unix/Linux command line and shell scripting.
Oh, that's fun.
Talk about a ratings bonanza.
Do they have anything for Excel?
CNN should do a show on that.
I didn't see Excel.
The Unix/Linux guy is charging $1 a minute, by the way, in case you're interested.
That's more than I used to charge if you read my sister's book.
It's only the most open source operating.
I haven't seen anything on Excel yet, Pam.
That's only $60 an hour, though. That's not that much.
Here we go. Computer science. Computer programming. Your choice of C++, Java, or PHP.
I think, I don't know. We'll see.
Setting up your personal cloud storage. Here we go, Dan. Drupal support, module development, and site B. $2 a minute.
How come he's more than the other guy?
Apparently he thinks he's worth more.
Because they have to done.
Are they all charged by the minute?
You can charge either for actually I'm just quoting the per minute price. Most of these have a price for a set period of time or a per minute time.
A question, Alan. Is this all like set in advance? Because for the technical topics, it could be a situation where you would almost want to call somebody who's available. Like if you're in Photoshop and you're trying to figure out how do I cut a person out of a background but not use the magic wand tool but use the other tool, and I can't remember what it is, or whatever it is, or how do I get past this barrier? I'm trying to code something, and you want an expert, and there might be like 15 or 20 or 500 experts out there available in different time zones, and I want them right now, and I'll pay per minute to solve my immediate problem. Can you do that? Can you call someone, or do you have to set it up for tomorrow, which is useless?
Well, it depends. I mean, if somebody says that they're available now, you can call them up right now. If somebody says they're available in, an hour, you can do it in an hour.
That would be very, very helpful.
That's part of what this searching would be nice to do. That's part of what, presumably searching for a topic would do.
Now, what the hell does Google know about search?
Right.
And for all those YouTube trolls, we love you for commenting and watching. Thank you.
Hey, Dan, here's one for you.
Every week at Friday at 8:30. For all those who said that I was on the take from Google and that we were all just fanboys basically giving Google a blowjob, watch this last segment. We're honest and we're fans, but we're not, blind and etc. Go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
No, they called you a commie.
That's funny.
I thought they called you a commie.
Yeah.
Hey, Pam.
Oh, they called me.
Pam, I found the Excel one for you. Excel spreadsheet customization, $2.50 a minute.
Okay.
That's more expensive than like C++ and Drupal?
Well, hey, Alan Navas is offering Camtasia Studio video editing and screen recording for free right now for a limited time only.
Well, see, Pam is in the same field. That explains how she's able to drink much more expensive beers than Mike Ellis and some of the others. Because
hey, Dan,
she's making
here's one for you. Rapid game development using Construct 2.
I did mine in Turbo Pascal with assembler for the graphics, and it was licensed for about 115,000 copies, and I had a brand new BMW at the time, so I didn't need all this newfangled stuff.
Confused by wires? I can help. $12 a help out.
Wow.
Go to Lowe's. Okay, my wire tip, this is free. Go to Lowe's and ask someone, where's the Velcro thing, the big thing with Velcro things. And you can get a pack of like 100 twist ties for like $10. And don't buy like the 5-pack. But for cable management, get the big pack of a bunch of little Velcro ties. It's like 100 of them. It'll last a lifetime. And it's like $5 or $10 or something. That's my tip. If you want to send $2 to my PayPal, let me know in the private comments.
Here we go. Here's a good one. Complete WordPress in 2 hours for just $200.
My God. Does it come with a, I'm afraid to say it.
Yeah, please don't. Because I already know what's on your mind. You've already said it twice.
Hey, here's a cheaper one for you, Dan. For just $22, you can learn all about Revit modeling and drafting for architecture.
I did not need that last night or this morning when I fell asleep at 8:30 a.m.
So anyway, stop me at any time when we actually want to move on to the next subject.
We can move on. This is getting to be similar to watching golf when you're tired. Just not
like watching paint dry, but different.
Yeah, grass grow. Okay, so there we have it. Our next 2 topics.
Wait a minute. These are precious. Wait. Michael Daniels says, if I have to pay per minute, I don't want a guy that stutters. He also said that was his topic too, Pam, that he actually had Excel. And Charlie wants to know if they're basing it on your googliness. Is that a word?
You didn't watch the Intern this summer?
As I pointed out, just go ahead. The big things with Velcro things. Epic comment, Dan.
Yeah.
By the way, Charlie, I don't know if you knew, but the new YouTube comments are awesome. In case you missed that, I'm not sure. Okay, so I pointed out in my sleep-deprived, lengthy post that dictionaries follow common usage. It's not the other way around. The dictionary does not dictate to us what a word is and what the definition is. The dictionary studies popular usage on the web and periodicals and in speech, and they report that. So if you want to make a new word, that's your right. You're in charge. They work for us. That's how dictionaries work. Okay, so next up, literally, I am not afraid to plead ignorance when Alan puts a topic in here. I don't even understand the acronym. I will just bow in worship of Alan's intellect as he intros our
As you
next
should, Dan.
topic, entitled Google Glass GDK being previewed in a week. Story in The Verge. I have heard of The Verge.
GDK, you've heard of Google Glass, right, Dan?
And The Verge. And week. I know what a week is. 7 days.
Actually, I'm the one that posted the link, so I put in front of it story from The Verge so that Alan would know where I got the story.
Yeah, Pam.
Oh, you did this.
Yeah, I just added all
the links. Pam's doing a great job of putting in the links. I just put in random stories before I forget them.
Did I mention how much I love Pam?
Because I don't actually read stories.
Okay, so Alan Furstenberg in New York, tell us about this excellent GDK story that's just you've been burning to talk about.
Oh yeah, I've just been dying to talk about this. Basically, the GDK is the Glass development kit. It was announced at Google I/O, and people who have been itching to develop for Glass using Android have been dying for this developer kit already, and they're salivating. Google's finally announced that it's almost ready, and they're going to be previewing it at an event in little over a week now. So people are extremely excited about this. There really isn't too much more that I have to say about it. My opinions on the GDK are not as complimentary. I'm excited to see it. I hope that the people who are attending the session and who learn how to use the GDK will use it for good and not be moron developers, as far too many of them are, I am sure. But I think this is a good move. It's good to see this stuff finally rolling out, and I'm excited to see what actually comes of it. So the story here basically is there's more new cool stuff from developers coming out for Glass, and that's always going to be a good thing. Unless, of course, they screw it up.
And for the complete technologically challenged, GDK means Google or Glass Developer Kit.
Yes, Glass Developer Kit. What this will let them do is write Glass software that runs on Glass itself that takes advantage of the low-level sensors. So a program running on Glass will be able to detect when you tilt your head, when you move it around. These sorts of things, as opposed to right now, you can do very large-scale, broad concepts using the Glass Mirror API, which is what the current software is built around. So I can send messages, send and receive pictures. This lets you do some more fine-grained stuff with the nitty-gritty of the hardware, which is what a lot of people are excited about.
I got a follow-up question before you move on.
Okay, Dan.
When will these what year will these things be an impulse buy at Radio Shack or Best Buy or Walmart, and what will they cost?
I thought I had another topic in here about Glass, but I guess not. Oh no, because that was last week's topic. That's a good question. I mean, we know that it's rolling out to more people are being invited into the Explorer program now. They're literally quadrupling the number of people who are in Glass probably at this point.
Cool,
and they're doing that pretty rapidly. What was that, Jody?
So more glass holes walking around.
I take some offense to that still.
Don't say that to Larry. He will call you out.
Really?
Yeah, ask Robert Scoble.
Well, go ahead and... Well, he called Scoble out for it.
Yeah. But no, seriously, these things are... I mean, the components are unique, so they're expensive because it's in the development phase. But if this were a really mainstream product in terms of everyone's using it and buying it, the components aren't that big a deal, and there would probably be $50 versions or $30 versions. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's going to get that low. I don't think it's going to get that low. But when is it going to hit the mass market? I don't know.
It'd be in the very low hundreds, I think, maybe $150, $200. I don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we're talking near term, like two years. I'm not talking like 10 years when it'll be throwaway prices. But I'm just curious, like when this is going to happen, because it seems to have been in development for quite some time. They're all trying to, unlike the watch, which everyone's trying to rush to market and with mixed results. No one's created one that I would buy yet, but I want one. I want an Android watch. The Glass thing, I don't see. I guess a lot of people, I'm sure Samsung and others are secretly developing something. But this technology, it's so revolutionary. The idea of having it
in front of you,
and connecting to your phone, and no one's really sure where this is going to go. So I understand it's expensive now. I'm just curious when you think they're going to get it nailed down, because the latest iteration I saw in those photos, it was just a product I absolutely would not wear in public. It was not at all. It was just like 7 of 9 from Star Trek. I mean, it was just right in your face. Obviously, you disagree.
You know, guys, I have to share with you. Okay, I was watching a hangout earlier this week, and somebody that I follow, he's an author. He was on it, and that's the reason why I tuned in. And there were 4 other people that were on the hangout. One of the people comes on the hangout, and it's a woman, and she's wearing the Google Glass. And when I tell you, it just looked pretentious and foolish. It didn't make her look intelligent. She wasn't actually using it for the hangout, but it was like almost like putting on her uniform so that she would appear. And all she could say is that, oh, I really like tech. I really like tech. I'm a geek. It's like, please, I don't know. I'm not buying it. It may be a great product, but I think it's unfortunate because so many people are lauding the fact that they have Google Glass, and the rest of us poor peons, you know, we don't have it yet unless we're accepted to the Explorer program.
There is the factor that it's similar to like Craig with his fancy gold-colored iPhone. I mean, I would not want this gigantic thing. Now, Alan,
Jody, be glad that you're not paying $1,500 for it.
You know what? There's no allure or appeal to do that, Pam.
I know.
And I think that the ones that are like, you know, oh, well, I've got Glass. It's like,
the truth is, the truth is, the original, the people who are working on apps and development and stuff like that with Google, or actually giving Google free app development, and paying for the privilege, you know, it's kind of like, you know, those job things, you know, where it's, hey, just send me $200 and you can work from home, make $10,000 a month. No, anyway, seriously, I think, you know, people like Alan and Jason, that's a good reason to have it, right? I think Google should have given it to them, but I think it's a good reason to have it because
I think they should have given it to me too, but I was willing to pay for it.
Right, but
sort of.
You know, so yes, you're working on doing something with the Glass other than taking pictures of the skyline and your feet as you take a dump. So, you know.
No, that's when I use my Nexus 7. And that's when I purchase gifts on Amazon. As we reported earlier, 25% of all Christmas gifts are purchased on the can. Go ahead, Alan.
Pam, here's the thing. In some ways, I agree with you, but I think one of the things that I kind of like about what they tried to do with the program, and I think they failed in some ways, succeeded in others, but I think what they were aiming to do is also say, hey, it's not just programmers who are trying to find the unique and different ways to use this. What would someone, you know, who is an artist, what would an artist do with this that a developer wouldn't think of? And I think that's part of what they were trying to get at. What would a teacher do with this that a developer wouldn't think of? And that's where they were trying to go with some of it.
Yeah. Now, and how often does someone from Google contact you to ask you about what you're doing with Glass?
Frequently. We get surveys every couple of months. We have a forum that we're part of, and we're encouraged to talk about what we're doing. There are people on that forum who have proposed some really interesting ideas, and some people that have proposed some pretty mundane ideas. But there is a discussion. There is a broad-based attempt to do it. I think a lot of ways, though, not all of that is public. Not all of that is seen. And I think also people aren't pushing the envelope as much as I expected them to be honest.
Well, I mean, I wore glass for 5 minutes, maybe a little more, and it wasn't hooked up to the internet, so my experience is very limited. But you know, what do you do with it? I mean, surfing the web, so I get to look at porn on Tumblr. Okay.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. If I want to watch porn, I'll go for a bigger screen.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, besides the same thing I can do with my phone, what unique and different? Just name one thing that's different about having the glass, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and I think what I would say is not so much unique and different specifically, but unique and different in the way that it's presented. Let me give you an example. I never send text messages on my phone. I find it's a pain in the ass. I never send and receive text messages on my phone because it's a pain in the ass. It's not a comfortable user interface, and most of the time when I need to be doing it, it's the wrong time for me to pull out a phone, as you and I have discussed many times.
Yeah.
But I text message via Glass a lot more because it's easier, safer, and more appropriate for me to do it using Glass. Those are the kinds of it's the more mental shift in what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So it's not so much that the tool itself gives me radical new things that I can do with it, although it does do some of it.
Can you clarify that, Alan? Are you saying text-based messaging in general, like emailing or texting or what have you, or IMing, or specifically SMS?
I'm saying text messaging in general, although it happens to be SMS, how I use it. But that's just it. How I use it is different than how other people use it. Everyone uses it differently because it's such a personal device. I mean, we talk about how personal phones are, and they're very personal, but they're sitting in my pocket most of the time. Glass isn't. And because it isn't, it gives me a different way to use it. I use it a lot. I do use it a lot to take photographs. How is that different from me taking photographs with my phone or with my camera? One of the things that I complained about over 2 years ago in taking photographs with my camera, for example, is that I felt like I had this thing in between me and my subject being my son. So, you know, in taking pictures of him, I was hiding behind my camera instead of interacting with him. I can now interact with him a lot more and take pictures of that at the same time. So instead of holding a bulky camera and trying to make sure I'm getting into position, just the right spot, just the right, doing everything just perfect, I just take a damn picture. And I'm playing with him, and if I want, if I'm inspired suddenly, I take the damn picture. And I deal with the picture later. And that's, for me, what's so significant about Glass, is that those are the two things that I use it for the most. There are other things that I use it for, but
it's going to be fantastic for revenue for Google Drive. Because as you guys accumulate your gigabytes of storage, you're going to eventually upgrade, and you're going to be paying $5 a month, then 10, then 15, then 20. If they gave these things away for $50, $100 a pop, they'd probably make it up in the long term with drive storage fees, because that's where it's stuck, right?
Well, eventually they're going to have to remove the leash from the product. I'm not going to buy a product, and I don't think a lot of people are going to buy a product if they restrict what I can do with it.
They kind of taken Apple's approach on this.
Who I can give it to, the contents of my pictures. I mean, if they're going to scan pictures that I'm going to load up into the Google sphere, that's just not something that I'm willing for them to pick and choose what I can and can't do with it. So when they go mass market, they're just not going to have the bandwidth to handle the amount of users at that point. So sooner or later, they're going to have to say, well, we're going to brick your device if you use it against the terms of service. They're just going to have to say, you know what, this is mine. I paid for it. You know.
Yeah, and, I think increasingly the terms of service will be the same as the terms of service on your phone.
Well, and you know, I will admit I didn't pay one dime for my phone, but I am paying monthly for the 2-year service agreement in order to have the phone. So, I mean, there's a little give and take there. If they're going to give me Glass and a 2-year service agreement, then we can talk.
They'll do that when they have to, when this becomes commoditized. At some point, this wearable technology like this is going to become a commodity, and Samsung and Apple and everyone's going to be in the game, and then they're going to be forced to do that. Right now, I guess there's an impetus for whatever reason, and I'd like to ask Alan if you can point to a specific fail or embarrassment or situation that caused them to be so protective over this technology to prevent it from being used in porn, for example, or what have you.
I think that's really the only example right now is that, you know, some of the earliest apps that were being talked about were porn apps, and they didn't want the negative publicity right off the bat.
So they're arguably overprotective now.
I'm not sure that was the wisest move. I think they could have spun that a lot better than they did. But yeah, I think they're being overprotective. They're being overprotective in a lot of ways.
It's often not their fault. I mean, they because of their brand power, their footprint worldwide. They're the go-to place on so many different platforms, Maps and Gmail and YouTube. And when they launched Google Plus, they didn't introduce it as a Facebook killer, but they introduced it as a social layer for all of our platforms. And all the media referred to it as a Facebook killer, and then they were criticized when they didn't topple Facebook in a week because they were so powerful. And so I think they got burned by that through no fault of their own, because they never presented it as a Facebook killer. You know, the websites did. The people who just follow this stuff intensely and go back and forth with their posts about, you know, speculative stuff that was wrong. And then when it didn't topple Facebook, because this was a long-term project, as Vic has said to us, and when it was first announced. And so maybe they were burned by that and are a little publicity shy. I don't know. It seems like they've overreacted and they're overprotective on this and in the Helpouts thing.
Have you done a hangout with Google Glass?
Yes, I have.
Alan? And does it show a big picture of your eyeball?
No, it's what I'm looking at.
Oh, so if you're raking the yard or whatever, it's the yard?
Yeah. I mean, that's not a terribly interesting thing to show, but
I'm just
if
asking.
that's what you want to show, sure.
I'm just asking because Michael Daniels says I can hang out while cooking, drinking, raking the yard, showing my mechanic the problem I have on the side of the road, and I hear that. But usually when we do hangouts, if you're not looking at my troll avatar or my cat avatar, you're looking at me, not at what I'm looking at, which is the lamps that are shining down on me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But if you remember, I mean, way back, one of the very early things that people were doing with Hangouts is they were mounting cameras on portable devices and walking around and showing what they were seeing. That was a very popular thing with Hangouts for a while. In fact, there was the Hangout photo walks, where people would go around with cameras and live stream from a mobile phone, and when somebody on the other end said, "Hey, what's that? That looks interesting," they'd take a picture of it.
Yeah.
You know, so the concept is there. Right now, yes, Hangouts, as we mostly use them these days, Hangouts are a talking head device.
Yeah.
But go ahead and look at what, you know, some things that, like what Sarah Hill is doing, you know, where she's sending cameras to veterans memorials and showing the veterans what their memorials look like.
Yeah.
I think those sorts of things are different than what we're using right now, you know, what we're used to right now, but I think they're powerful. And I think Glass is one tool that combined with Hangouts is another tool that is something. Is it the only use for it? No. Have I seen a lot of people do Hangouts with Glass? No, not really, because mostly people want to be talking, well, you know, are trying to talk to you and look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are certainly circumstances where I think it's an appropriate use for the technology. And in those cases, it's easier than your phone.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, kind of what I like saying is, would I use glass for everything? No. Hell no. Glass, glass is good for glass is great for what it does. It has some very specific uses. Personally, I don't think those uses are worth $1,500, but the price better come down. And if those are the uses that are useful to you, then yes, I think glass is an excellent tool for those things. And if not, glass isn't. But I got to tell you something. Right now, we've crammed a lot of things into this form factor, and I think it's a crappy form factor for a lot of things. And I am giving a great deal of credit to glass for saying, hey, some of those things are better done when they're mounted to your face. And I'm giving a lot of credit to companies like Pebble for saying, hey, a lot of tasks are better done when they're mounted to your wrist. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other companies will find other form factors for these things that we want to do, so we get away from this really crappy form factor for everything. This has purposes. This has some great uses, but it's not the best device for everything either. And that's most of why I like glass. Well, that's not true. I do think glass is good for what it does, and what it does is some really good uses for me.
What do you think about the traffic ticket the lady got wearing glass?
Didn't we discuss this last week?
We did, but just give me your quick synopsis on this.
I think it's bogus. I think the law is well-intentioned, but I think in this case it's misapplied.
I think the form factor of the phone is an interesting point, Alan, and I agree with you. And that's why I'm interested in the watch. You gravitate toward wearable technology in the glasses. I find that to be too intrusive. I use the analogy to 7 of 9, where she had this thing on her face. I'm not into that. I don't want to wear this thing. If it was a little thing on my prescription glasses, I could deal with that. But to have a giant thing here and here and just be too obvious, like I'm walking around waving my golden iPhone in front of people's faces, that sort of thing. Well, I'm not into that.
But here's the thing, Dan. Here's the problem with making it a nice, inconspicuous little device. And a lot of people are looking forward to that. I think there are 2 big reasons why Google intentionally didn't do that, aside from the engineering constraints that they may have had problems to do it. And there are certainly engineering constraints. But I think there are two other major reasons why they didn't, why they want it to be visible. And I think there's no doubt they want glass to be seen. The first is they want the publicity. They want the attention. They want people to see glass, to talk about glass, to ask questions about glass. They want it to be an item.
But I don't. And I hear you. I would rather have it on my wrist and maybe have a Bluetooth connection to a camera on my glasses that was very inconspicuous. I don't have any jewelry on. I don't have earrings. I don't have any tattoos. I'm wearing a plain white shirt. You know what I mean? I don't want to walk around with this big blue thing on my face. And I think that would be a turnoff to a lot of folks. Now, it's going to get smaller. The technology will improve and get smaller.
Dan?
Yes, sir.
But here's the second reason, though. They want it visible because they don't want to. They have enough problems with privacy concerns. They don't want to be known as the manufacturer to create a spy camera. Glass is visible enough so that if anybody sees you with it, they know that you're doing something. People who have never heard of Google Glass before immediately realize that I'm wearing a camera strapped to my face. So, and Jody is holding up her phone to remind me that, yes, anybody can be walking around taking pictures right now. The problem is there is a perception, and it's a false perception, but it's a perception, that glass is somehow more privacy invading than other technologies. And Google needed to confront that head on, and one of the ways they confronted it head on was by making it visible. I've heard people say things like, if I see that thing around my kid's playground, I'm calling the cops immediately. And my response is, hey, at least you can see it. As opposed to the stalker who's sitting at the corner of the playground with a hidden GoPro camera.
I hear you, and I understand.
I mean, I agree with Dan.
It's gonna. I mean, this is the Model T, warts and all, of this technology. I understand that. I'm not expecting it to be a Tesla. It's the beginning stages.
But Dan, here's the thing. I don't think, for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them are good reasons, I don't think they want to make it an invisible technology. And I don't think you're going to see it as an invisible technology for a while, because people are not going to accept it as an invisible technology.
You know, and it's a shame, because I think it could be really cool, but unfortunately it's developing a stigma.
I don't think it's that big a stigma, Jody, from my experience.
Well, you've got Glass, and of course you're not going to think that. It's the rest of us, the majority that don't have it, that see it as being a stigma.
No, and I mean, I don't see it from the people that I talk to and from the people who ask me questions. And by that, I'm not talking about, the geeks that I'm talking with and working with. I'm talking about, my dry cleaner saw it and had never heard of it before, didn't know what it was, and within 30 seconds of me explaining it, figured out what it was, figured out other ways that it could be used, and thought it was really cool. Called her husband over to show it to him, and both of them thought it was really cool. These are dry cleaners. Okay, these are everyday people. The cashiers at my grocery store, they think it's cool, and they see me, they see me very frequently with it now.
That's the thing. They see you with it. You don't see my watch. If I wore a watch, I don't wear a watch. I would wear an Android, or if I was in iOS, I would wear an. It's something that would be there if you need it.
Yeah, Dan, they see me with it the same way they saw people, who had an iPod with white earphones,
which makes it conspicuous. I don't want to walk in the Food Line or Kroger or Martin's or whatever, and everyone's staring at these freaky glasses. I mean, it's fun when it was new and hot, but I'm just saying, I think it's a disadvantage. And I got to ask, hang on one second. I got to ask Dale Jensen a question. You're trolling us in these comments, and that's cool. I'm a newspaper publisher, and I'm totally for the First Amendment. I got a couple questions for you. One, I'm curious how old you are. Are you like, I don't know if you're not 13, you're like 17 or 18 at least, I'm guessing, because you're spelling things correctly. I'm not sure if you're like a teenager.
I just asked him that question.
Yeah, or I'm not sure if you're like a 30-year-old who still lives in his parents' basement with his Star Wars figurines celebrating his virginity, or what the deal is. But if you could tell me I'm just curious how old you are, just for our study, and also how you discovered the program. If you did a search, or if you saw it on YouTube Live or whatever. But you're entitled to your opinions, that's fine. But as one of your fellow YouTubers who hates the new commenting system pointed out, you're kind of making our point that you have no picture, you have no click to identity, you're all but trolling us, and I'm just curious. But we appreciate the comments, we like our live comments, and feel free to continue to exercise your First Amendment freedoms, but it's I guess I'm just curious to know more about you. If you could tell me, your age, why you hate Google+, why you think that trolling comments should be able to continue unabated, maybe your geography, any of those things would be interesting, because I'm legitimately curious. So anyway, back to you, Alan. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I've been trying to ask Dale questions, for a good half hour at least, and he's been avoiding my answers. Not that I think he'll actually answer your question either, but I don't. Oh,
he didn't. He called Dan a stalker.
Well, how am I a stalker?
Because you're asking him his age.
All this.
No, I'm just curious who this person is who's trolling us. And I invited this, right? I'm sincere. I mean, I put a troll picture on the thing and made fun of the whole criticism of the new comment system, and made fun of the anonymous YouTubers who just write negative comments to get attention in the YouTube thumbnail for this video, specifically to draw out these folks, because I'm curious and I wanted to demo it during the show. And mission accomplished. We have achieved our goal. So I'm just curious, you know, who are these people? And what is their motivation? I'm legitimately, honestly, sincerely asking. I want to know, because I'm just curious. And this show is a tech show. And like I said before, we're fans of Google. We use Google products. And we're also honest at the same time. You can be that, right? You can love your child and spank them when they're bad. And so there are times when we criticize Google and praise it.
Times. I mean, let's be honest. I think this show, we've been the most complimentary to Google that we've been in ages, and we still rake them over the coals for some things tonight.
Yeah. And we're the only 4-hour weekly show.
We are the #1 show in all aspects. We're bigger than MSNBC for all shows that air at 8:30 p.m. Friday Eastern on Google Plus and YouTube Live that are called Google Plus Week. We are the dominant show.
I love that.
Talk about creating a standout category.
Oh, that's slightly specific there, but among Asians aged 17 through 20, we're really big.
So skipping back to the topic at hand, sort of. Michael asked, and Jody had this up before. I apologize we didn't get it, Jody. Does Google Glass have YouTube comments? No, at least not currently, although I'm sure somebody could write glassware to do it. At least I'm pretty sure somebody could write glassware to do it. Maybe not, actually, since, well, it has YouTube comment. I'm sorry, it has Google Plus comments. So, yes, we do have YouTube comments now, in a way.
We do. And by the way, a private message to Dale, you got to up your game. Stalker's not strong enough. Today I've been called, what was it, Pam? Help me out here.
Communist.
MFer, commie, a-hole, what else? Paid by Google.
Yeah,
paid by sponsored Google, posts.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Google was paying us,
yeah,
we'd all be.
We would charge by the minute, and this show would go 8 hours.
Absolutely, we'd have Kit Kats galore. We'd all be eating. We'd be morbidly obese.
I like Kit Kats.
So anyway, okay.
This is. I think George summarized this great. A camera on a smartwatch is more. I think he means suspicious, not superstitious. Than glass. Glass doesn't disguise what it is. A camera on a smartwatch does. I think it's an interesting point. I think that really kind of summarized where I was going here.
So,
I mean, I get what you and Jody are saying. You don't find it aesthetically pleasing, and I'm not going to disagree with you too much. I think, compared to a lot of its contemporaries, I think it looks pretty good.
I think not aesthetically pleasing is an understatement. I think it's this elephant man contraption on your face. The thing is, like, unless you're, you know, most people, when you meet someone, you look in their face and you look specifically in their eyes, okay? Unless you're Dolly Parton. Obviously, you know, there are exceptions to every rule. But when you're looking at someone's eyes, you can judge a lot by their eyes, etc.
Did you drink? Did you have a little drink before the show?
I was just
He's working
witty.
on very little sleep.
I was witty then, just then, Pam. Oh, Google Plus apologist. That's right. Thank you, Hell's Blade Land. She just pointed out, he or she pointed out that I was called a Google Plus apologist. Okay, so generally you look at someone's eyes and you're like, you know, whatever. And if they have this giant thing obscuring that, and it, you know, it's an attention-getting device.
But
whereas if it was a watch, it would have all the functionality, and I could like pull it out when appropriate and use it. It wouldn't be like that, you know, MySpace picture of the dude with the phone Velcro
you know,
to his face.
I think you should be in the shoe, and then you could be Get Smart, right? So then you just take off your shoe and make that phone call.
Now, Pam, I know you put makeup on right before we went live. You've really outdone yourself this time.
It's my roster troll.
I like the beautiful hazel eyes.
But Dan, that's exactly it. Glass, you can't. I mean, do my eyeglasses distract you when you look in my eyes?
No, the McDonald's or the Coca-Cola and Disney stuff does.
Okay, so you're not looking in my eyes.
Are you trying to hypnotize me on my show?
Look into my eyes. No,
I'm gonna have to get a whole new slide for this.
My current glass frames don't distract you, and glass still lets you look into my eyes. As opposed to
I'm not opposed to the functionality, but what Jody and I are saying, we want a little thing here that you can tell if it's there. Maybe a red light goes on if you want. I'm sure Sprint would activate those assholes. But I want a little thing that's not too conspicuous, and the functionality could be on my wrist. And the wrist could have a separate screen that's larger, and I could use it. And maybe they could work in conjunction, so I could have the best of both worlds without this freaking elephant man thing on my face, like I'm just come off the soundstage from Star Trek.
And I get the point that you're saying. I would still say that it is more aesthetically pleasing than you seem to be implying. B, than a lot of the other competitors that are trying to muscle into the market. And C, I think its visibility serves multiple purposes.
Yes,
and some of those purposes aren't just Google, aren't just trying to show off. I get what you and Jody are saying.
So that would make me right and you the other thing. Just kidding. Just kidding. Alan's always right.
Because you have, Dan, if you showed up at a playground with your stealth camera attached to your glasses and somebody caught you, you'd be in jail as a pedophile next week.
What if it says kid on the playground? That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's...
Of course it's ridiculous! I didn't say it was rational.
Alan, here's the thing, and I appreciate you're developing on these, and you've got an interest in it, and I think it's a cool technology. Don't get me wrong, okay? My gripe with it, my peeve with it, is that it came out, and immediately there were a select few that had them, and everybody's profile picture, suddenly it's a profile picture of them sporting this new look, right?
It was the Aeropostale of tech.
Right, and then
like all the teenagers, they have to have Aeropostale spread across their tits, or
on this one,
whatever.
I will agree with you completely, Jody. I
wait.
think people are trying to show off too much with it.
And then it gets worse. So somebody goes to an event and they run into Robert Scoble. They try on his glasses. Someone snaps a picture of them, and now suddenly that becomes their profile picture. So it's not even as if they own a pair or they've used them for any period of time. They've just tried them on, and suddenly that's their profile picture, almost as if that gives them some kind of panache. And honestly, it's obnoxious.
Now, this is not like I'm saying that I'm not saying that this is over. It may be overexposure in the tech thing. I'm not judging it like it's a backlash from overexposure. I'm simply saying that I would not want to walk. I would not feel, especially the new iteration, which is even more prominent, right?
The new iteration is the same as the old iteration.
Maybe it was that awful picture they shared.
No, Dan, it's the same. It's the exact same
with the model
thing,
with the hair thing going on and the whole deal.
Which is ugly. You don't need the headphone. It's optional.
I'm not worried about the headphone. I'm worried about the big ass thing here, and it would just. I would not feel comfortable walking.
It's the same freaking profile.
I'm just saying that I would not want to. When I go into a store or a mall, or I haven't been to a mall in like 2 years.
Hours.
But if I go in one, I don't want everyone staring at me because I have this freakish thing on my face. Is what I'm saying.
No, they're going to stare at you for your general looks, but.
Well, I got game, but I'm just saying. Oh my God.
No, to respond to Jody, which I was trying to do, I will agree that the show off and prestige nature of it kind of bugs me, and part of the reason is when I wear it around when I'm out of the house, I forget that I wear it. That's kind of what it is to me. It's this device that blends into my background. So people who are trying to show off with it are, admittedly, they're kind of show-offs. On the other hand, I look at other technology like Apple with their white earbuds. Those white earbuds became a prestige symbol. They were a status symbol.
And that brings out the point, Alan, that as this becomes more of a mainstream product, if it does, that if a bunch of people are, it won't be conspicuous. It's only conspicuous by its rarity.
I think that's a valid point.
If everyone, when the first cell phones came out, if you had that 1980s Wall Street movie cell phone,
and you were pulling it out all the time and making phone calls on it because you wanted to be seen with a huge fucking brick on your face.
Here's my bag phone. You got to do that.
And if Craig was here, he would pull his out just to show it to us.
He actually got paid by CNN. They were doing a live remote at the Washington Monument for something back in the day when it was like $1 a minute. And they actually paid him hundreds of dollars when he was a kid to bring his cell phone so they could call in whatever was happening. I forget what the event was or the incident, but he actually got paid by CNN like $500 or something, or $1,000 just to have his new wireless phone so that they could call in to CNN. It was a crazy story. It's a great story. We'll have to get him to tell it next time he's on.
Anthony, you had a comment up. What was it?
George Cozy said, I can't read that backwards. George Cozy says there is the error. Glass didn't come out yet. Google just recruited a private army of testers before it comes out.
Not only did they recruit a private army of testers, they recruited a private army of salespeople, basically, who are not working on commission, I might add. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of Glass explorers who are really peeved when people ask them questions because they didn't sign up to be the salesperson and to answer questions from everyone on the street about it. And I can understand their attitude. I did go into this expecting to be asked, and it still surprises me when people do ask, but I don't take offense to it. A lot of people take offense to it.
So, I hope no one will take offense if we move to...
I'm impressed. For a technical topic that was our ratings bonanza, we spent 42 minutes on it.
That's, given the program we're on, it's not saying much, but I hear you.
Okay, and especially considering that the next topic is still a Glass topic.
You talk about a geek topic. I don't even know what the hell this means.
Basically, this one is even...
I'm going to read the topic title, and then Alan will explain it to me.
You got some splaining to do, Lucy.
I know. So Google Glass XE11 released, am I pronouncing that correctly? Released with some usability updates linked to Android Central... Oh, there was a missing period. Never underestimate the power of punctuation. Google Glass XE11 released with some usability updates, period. Linked to Android Central Story. Is that a Nate story?
I don't know. Pam put it in.
All right.
Pam did the links. I did the topics. This was, again, intended to be a fairly... Let me do a time marker here. This was intended to be a fairly quick, another fairly quick story. Basically, every month they've been updating the software on Glass as it comes out. This month's update was actually fairly tame, as most of them go. It mostly had some changes to how Google Now works, some improved interactions with Google Now. I don't even remember all of the other things that it wasn't, it was doing. Oh yeah, it also adds some integration with your calendar, was the other major feature. So now it can tell you what your schedule is for the day. Not huge improvements, but again, they kind of highlight, the other thing is that it has an improvement in navigation. So you can directly say, get directions to home, get directions to work. These aren't big things, but again, they point out how Glass is trying to be a very, very personal assistant for you. And kind of, the Google Now on your face. And in that way, again, it kind of is a step up above Google Now because Google Now will chirp in your pocket, whereas Glass will just present it right there in front of you. Huge differences, no but it's kind of an indication that they're nearing some production level for this software. We don't need to belabor this point.
It's the last one of your senses, except I guess taste, right? Existing devices, they can vibrate, so you can feel them. They can make noise, so you can hear them.
You're going to have that Android tongue sensor when it comes out? The Android tongue depressor.
Future Kickstarter project, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, get ready. But eyesight is one of those senses, and it's very convenient. I mean, I get it. You know, you're bringing groceries in, and your kid does something cute, and you can verbally start a video without letting your grocery bags down in the heat of the moment. I get that. There are many pros to that, and we shouldn't downplay those. Any thoughts on this unpronounceable topic, the XE11?
No, I'm sure nobody does. So let's move on.
Okay. Forcing me away from this topic, Alan moves me. Catching fire and an HOA link to video.
Catching fire in an HOA, period. Link to video.
What the hell?
Do you know what catching fire is, Dan?
Don't call me out. Intro the topic.
Okay. Fine.
Please.
Like,
so
I
swear to God, I don't.
The stars of the upcoming movie Catching Fire, which is the second in the Hunger Games trilogy. Have you heard of Hunger Games, Dan?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of it, though. I'm actually not as cool as people think. I'm not as, like, into all the
quite
latest
aware
stuff.
of that, yeah. Anyway, the stars of the movie were in a hangout on air.
Oh, I saw this. I remember this. Yeah, everyone shared this like 2 days ago.
Yeah. So why don't you can talk about it some more, because I didn't pay attention to it.
I didn't watch it. I don't care about that shit. You kidding me?
For me, one of the interesting things that I did note is a couple of people noticed that they were using the new question and answer app to take questions from the audience, and some of the questions were ranked fairly highly. So they were getting questions that had, several hundred upvotes on them, which is, I think it's showing the power of what the question and answer app can do when there are a lot of viewers.
Several hundred uploads?
Upvotes.
Oh, okay. I was just trolling you back.
You need to study with some of our trolls on the side here. So they participate in this hangout on air, and again, it's an indication of how the various popular media are starting to pick up on some of Google's unique features and use it. And I was kind of wondering if anybody had seen anything from this hangout on air, or had used, had, God only knows, watched it, and what they thought of what was going on with it in general. Anybody? Jody, you must have an opinion at least on this.
I'm still looking for, you guys mentioned about the trolls, and I'm looking to see where those comments are. So I'm just like fascinated with this whole concept.
Major segue fail, Alan.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm cooking these. I'm trying to make this salad. Okay, so I can't comment on this particular thing because I could give a damn about Hunger Games. I'm currently totally engrossed, and I've got like 3 more episodes left to finish the 24 series on Netflix. So I'm not watching Hunger Games, but I understand it's a very popular thing, and I'm just ignorant of it.
Is it? I thought it was a movie. It's a TV show?
It's a book. It's a book series, right?
It's a book series that's been made into a series of movies.
Movies. Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, so...
Kind of like Harry Potter.
Do you people not have Netflix?
I do. But I cracked
it's one of the blockbuster movies that is actually on Netflix.
We all agree that it's definitely a massive, awesome series that we need to watch, and it's going to be put in our queue. And we're like the only people alive who haven't seen it yet, and touche, et cetera, et cetera. I just haven't seen it yet, and I don't know anything about it, and I haven't. Because I know it's that good, I've deliberately not sought out reading about it because I want to enjoy it for the first time. I don't want to read spoilers and stuff, right? So
yeah, we'll go with that story, Dan.
That's true.
I saw the first one.
Maybe I'll add it to my queue. I mean, maybe I'll add it or watch it online.
Did you know the second one was coming out?
I knew that there was something involved in the Hunger Games, and that Vic and everyone else, Brad and all these guys, shared this hangout thing with an actress I'd never heard of, and the rest of the crew I'd never heard of. Although I'm sure they're attractive young teenagers in the prime of their Hollywood stardom on this blockbuster
And all of them were
hit.
trying on Google Glass while they were at it.
That's awesome. And gosh, how could you even tell that they were wearing it?
Just face it, you're just old fuddy-duddies. I'm
a fuddy-duddy. So, but I think it's interesting as we see these use case scenarios come and go. We've seen the White House has used it pretty regularly. I say regularly, I mean every few months they'll do one. With the big, I mean like Obama or Biden or somebody. And then we saw, like I think Face the Nation used it for a little while, then stopped. And then we're seeing new ones come. And I think it's exciting that they're constantly updating the experience to make it better, so that new media entities or books or whatever it is, some national popular form of media, to make it a more exciting concept. And the Q&A app is really fantastic, and it especially lends itself to something involving a celebrity or a controversial figure or some controversial topic, that sort of thing, where folks can ask questions, especially if they can do so in advance. It just makes it a neat thing. It's similar to Twitter and Reddit when they've done these interviews, and folks can submit questions in advance, and then the community can upvote or downvote a question. And I think YouTube has done this in the past with presidential debates, where folks could post a video question, and then folks can like or upvote it, and then the president of the United States or future president actually answers the questions that were submitted by anybody. It's completely a democratic process. Anybody can submit one, and then you promote it, and then folks can upvote it or downvote it, and then they actually end up answering those questions. So I think it's cool.
Dan, you realize how bad an example that is, right?
I mean, there were some issues with the YouTube debates. But I think the democratic process, with some supervision, so we don't have a boxers or briefs incident, is generally a good thing. Come on! They work for
boxers
us.
Or briefs. Nobody remembers any other question from that debate.
They work for us in theory, anyway. So,
And wasn't the boxers a brief question from MTV? It was the MTV debate?
I was making a non-analogous analogy.
So you're saying that boxers or briefs is actually a good question?
No. You should not I don't want to know if the President of the United States wears boxers or briefs.
Well, you don't, but clearly youthful voters do.
It was a troll question, and he answered it.
It wasn't a troll question. It was a question to see if anybody could relate to this person.
He handled it. I mean, what do you do? What an awkward situation. How embarrassing.
So, Dan, boxers or briefs? Or thongs? Are you going to go on Pam's community?
I wear the hybrid.
Don't make any comments.
I wear the hybrid of A and B on most occasions, but it depends how wild I feel. I'll send a video to Pam to prove that.
Guys, we've leaped the shark.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shock.
So this all started with my Dolly Parton reference, so I'm responsible.
Okay, so nothing further on this one. Next topic, Dan.
Thank God. Okay, so next up, the barge.
The barge that won't go away.
Alan and I are old enough to remember the garbage barge. So every time I hear the word barge, the garbage barge was this giant barge full of garbage that was supposed to go to one port, and then there was some environmental outrage from local people, and they said you can't come here. So it was floating around the country trying to find a place to land to unload their garbage. And it went on for I think weeks. And it became like before the internet meme, if there was such a thing. It was just a funny story. But these poor people on this, with this steadily rotting and stinking garbage, trying to find a port where they could unload it and bury it somewhere. And it went on for a while. So every time I see the word barge, I think of that. But Google built the first one, I guess, was spotted off San Francisco Bay or something. And now, since there have been other spottings, and there was all these crazy rumors about what it was. It was a glass showroom. It was a personal nightclub for Sergey and Larry to party, on all the coasts on a moment's whim. And then it turns out it's a place to quote unquote showcase technology is the latest, or I guess they came clean and described it that way. And the basic premise is that because they're made of these shipping containers that will fit on an 18-wheeler, they're standardized shipping containers, and then they can be lifted by crane and put on a boat. That's how everything you buy in Walmart, for example, is in a future Google barge room. So it appears that they've solved the mystery. Do you buy the latest explanation, Alan?
No. I mean, it could be part of the answer, but
you really don't. Or you're just adding drama for the show.
No, I really don't. Why build a barge to do this? Why build it out of packing crates? Why?
Because how many stories have been written about it?
Yeah, but then why shroud it in secrecy?
It's cheaper than an Apple store.
I don't know.
The secrecy adds to the mystique. I mean, that's the whole,
I think there's more to this story. I think there's going to be more to this story when it comes out. Will it be used as a technology showcase?
Maybe their future Google
Why
Plus
build
studios.
one in Maine?
Maybe they're studios for our show, and we're just not telling.
I can neither confirm nor deny
that correctship.com has been purchased by Google.
Yeah, I think there's more to this story.
Do you think the one in Maine is just like a strange place to start on the East Coast, and like they'll just like move it down like they've said they're going to do in San Francisco, and then eventually move it down to San Diego and blah
but then
blah
why
blah.
do it in San Francisco? I mean, here's the thing: if they're doing two, one of which is just in a bizarre place to do it, why do the other one in San Francisco Bay? On Treasure Island.
Maybe they'll not so randomly pick San Francisco to start, and a lot more randomly picked Maine to start on the East Coast, and eventually it will make its way to New York City, where it is more obvious. And
there are a lot of other shipyards on the East Coast that are more centrally located, that are probably just as cheap. Where they could have done it. I think Maine is just a really odd place to do it.
So you think it's like a data center?
I mean, I'm still suspecting it's a data center. I'm perfectly willing to be proven wrong though on this one, which I usually am, although it doesn't happen too often. But this one, I think there's more to it than just saying it's a technology showcase. I think Peter McDermott last week made an excellent case for why it might be. I think it might be, but I think it's an odd. I think there's too much odd about it to say that it's a technology show, just a technology showcase.
Alan, for what it's worth, I agree with you this time. No, I think with all the stuff with the NSA snooping and having to relinquish accounts, this is, I don't know what the laws are, but I think that there's some reason it's a barge. Because you're right, it doesn't make any sense just to build it as a showroom. So there's some reason that it's on water. And maybe it has to do with it's not part of the state, it can be moved, it can be relocated. Maybe it's different laws that pertain to it.
I mean, as a technology showcase, it's great. It means that you can drag it up and down both coasts. And you've just alienated the entire middle of the country? Yeah, that's a good marketing suggestion.
There's no one in the middle of the country.
There's plenty of people in the middle of the country, Anthony.
Well, they haven't announced any of these.
They're all entirely sarcastic.
Hey, Anthony, I noticed you're not exactly near a waterway that the barge would be able to get to.
Sure,
you don't know that. I mean, these barges have been discovered. They haven't been announced. They found the first one, and since then they found 4 more. Apparently, it's like the movie Independence Day, kind of. It's like they keep another one's been spotted over Israel, and maybe they're building some in a secret bunker wherever they kept Cheney, and they're going to float it up the Mississippi to get inland.
Pam, what's your comment? Unmute yourself.
Yes. George says, I think they're testing the Google teleporter. That's one. There are two of them.
George, I can neither confirm nor deny my conversation with a Googler talking about the problems on the Mountain View campus with the teleporter system. So I don't know, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Back to you, Dan.
Any final thoughts about the barge? Any theories? I think your theory is wrong,
we'll have plenty
Alan.
more theories over the weeks to come. This is almost we're milking this one almost as much as we're milking photography.
Speaking of which, catch my cow horse share today on my stream, or yesterday, when I was in my sleep-deprived coma, bordering on, temporary Alzheimer's, and waxing eloquently all the same. Okay, so I don't think it's a data center, because I think it would be absurd to put a data center in the middle of the ocean, because how would you get the data to and from the data center?
And that's the point. Transmitters, repeaters.
Because Dish Network Internet is so much better than Verizon Fios.
What about satellite?
We have loons.
I like loons.
Are y'all have a straight face, or are you trolling me? I mean, you really think that, like...
Dan, here's the other question. Why in the world would you put a technology preview center in the middle of the ocean?
Exactly.
Aren't these designed to be like...
and make your guests sick at the same time.
Google's basically insane.
While looking at the inside of a beautiful shipping container.
Yeah, one of the construction workers said it's not going to be a showroom because they're ugly in there. He was inside running wiring or something. He said it's really ugly.
I think it has something to do with maritime law, and that's why they're building them on barges.
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards the pirate radio aspect of this.
I think we're all wildly speculating because it's fun, and none of us have a freaking clue what the hell we're talking about.
Anthony's got a great quote. Anthony, give it to us.
Judge Cozy makes the not so obvious statement of a technology showcase can mean anything, including a floating data center.
An excellent point, George.
Okay. So there we have it. We've solved the riddle. We've come to the conclusion. And none of us have a clue, nor do you. But, there we go. We'll get
Next topic.
Good
Next
SEO
topic,
from
because
that.
we're coming up on our non-existent limit.
Oh, we have the hard break? Oh, we do. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, so Twitter IPO climbs. Facebook is up from IPO finally. Google still stratospheric. Twitter had a very good entry. They launched, I think, it was $26, and it went up to the first day. At the end of the first day, was around 45 at the end.
45, yeah.
Yeah, it peaked 50 for a while, and then finally settled back down around 45.
Contrast that to Facebook, Alan.
Facebook dropped like a rock on its initial IPO, and stayed dropped like a rock for, I think, it took them almost a year to get back to their IPO price.
And why did it drop like a rock?
Because it's Facebook.
Excellent.
Well,
Pam, why was Facebook a disaster without just totally making this a NASDAQ versus NYSE or because I mean, Facebook has revenue, makes money. Twitter does not.
Doesn't.
And
Jody's
they
nodding,
doubled,
Jody,
whereas Facebook tanked. So what happened? Was it a NASDAQ New York Stock Exchange thing, or
no,
or just because Mark Zuckerberg's an asshole, or what was it?
Yes,
Jody.
It was overvalued. They're not. I don't believe they're making much of a profit, if they're making a profit now. They were actually in the red. They didn't have a good profit model. And in addition, they keep changing the interface. So I don't know. I mean, I just
but Jody,
privacy concerns.
But Jody, and Twitter doesn't and didn't.
Well, and at least Facebook has revenue, right? Twitter doesn't.
Twitter,
not much, but Twitter makes almost nothing.
Twitter voluntarily has no revenue. I mean, they do. I'm sorry, they have no profit, but they do have revenue.
Well, I have to tell you that now that they're public, they're going to be required by their stockholders to have revenue, and that revenue better go up by between 5 and 8% a year, or
they're going to be required depending on who has the votes.
I mean, they're trading like 70 times their value right now. I mean, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
If you were buying Google at the IPO and they were trading at that level, it wouldn't have turned out to be so crazy. It is a very popular service. I use it constantly. I mean, I use it all the time. I have a Chrome app that pops up every single tweet from anybody I follow on Twitter.
But Dan, doesn't make
Google had an established and working revenue model at the time of their IPO. So there's a big difference.
This shows you that you can be really drunk and wasted, walking out of a bar and come up with some crazy idea that turns into a multi-billion-dollar company. And that's exactly what happened with Twitter. The same thing with that game Trivial Pursuit. It was some guys I think they were in a pub in Canada, and they were completely trashed, and they had this idea for this game, and that became Trivial Pursuit. So lesson learned.
Well,
teetotalers,
but again, I think
you poverty-stricken teetotalers.
The question still comes back to is, why do people think that Twitter is going to make money?
Because they push
at least on Facebook you can see the advertising.
Huh?
At least on Facebook, you know, the investors can see the advertising on Facebook, so they think there's some potential way they're going to make money. On Twitter,
it's a balancing act. You don't want to overload the average. You know, they're still learning their way, just like Helpouts. I mean, they're learning their way. They're figuring this out.
How long has Twitter existed?
I think it's just the media has it has that popularity concept that the media is so driven to using, you know, putting a hashtag and the @ symbol and all this other stuff. I mean, it could make money, and I guess that's where everyone's putting in. And I think Facebook, I feel, didn't do as well because, one, it was like so preempted that everyone knew, hey, it's coming out this time, it's coming out. People didn't know that much about Twitter, so I mean, that far ahead as Twitter. So I mean, it was, I guess, buying frenzy when they found it.
We gotta tie this up. So what time do we start, Alan?
Twitter has been in existence since 2006.
We've got about 30 minutes, Dan. We're okay.
What time do we start?
8:40 or so.
Yeah, it's like 8:40.
It's 12:31 now.
So that's it. We're only 10 minutes late. Remember.
So that means you have 9 minutes left.
YouTube says we have 15 minutes left.
Okay, so all right, so let's tie this up. The stock price is based on the perception of future earnings, not what you're doing today. And there's people view that it's a hot product. It may be overvalued, and it may tank in the future if they don't deliver, as Pam says, and that's accurate. But the perception is there's a lot of potential, and that's what the stock is about. I mean, the stock price is not what you're doing today. It's what are you going to do tomorrow?
Right, but the question then comes to, what are they going to do tomorrow? And they haven't said what they're going to do tomorrow.
Nor should they, because, you know.
Because that's a forward-leading statement. Yeah. The problem is an investor wants to have at least some vague idea that these guys have a freaking clue about how they're actually going to make money someday.
It's funny that when they tweeted that we're live or whatever, you know, ring the bell or whatever, they put this thing, and they actually, for their disclaimer, Alan, they said, this tweet should not be construed as an offer to sell shares or.
Yes, I saw that.
I've never heard that before. This tweet.
The thing that I found funniest about that is that tweet was a picture. It wasn't,
because they couldn't fit in 140 characters. Yeah, Peter G. McDermott, I think, pointed that out.
Yeah. So I want to read.
He would have joined us, but he's in a plane. Go ahead, Pam.
I want to read George Cozy's comment, but I have to switch to YouTube to do it. So
the one about all these companies are trying to make money from advertising. How much advertising money is out there? The well must run dry someday. That's why I like it when Google diversifies.
Yep. And so he brings up a really good point. Google keeps getting into these other companies, you know, buying companies or developing technology and other things that have the potential for revenue, and that will keep them, at least, since Craig isn't here, to talk about Google's demise. That will keep them good for, in the future, because as the advertising well does run dry, they'll have other things to fall back on.
I would say that it at least increases their probability of being able to do so. I mean, we see, look at Microsoft, and they diversified. They're raking in a ton of money because of that diversification, but even so, they're having a lot of problems. But then again, it's really just their stock price that's having a lot of problems, not actually making money.
Okay, we're up against.
It's supposed to care about.
Yeah, we're up against a hard wall. So we're going to do a How Was Your Google Plus Week and try to wrap it up real quick. And then I'm going to start because I can't see the panel.
How was your Google Plus Week, Dan?
And then Alan, if you could start, and then.
How was your Google Plus Week, Dan?
My Google Plus Week was excellent. I actually am excited about the potential future of the Google Plus comments on YouTube. I think, as I said, in the short term, it's going to mean that. Google Plus comments are going to go down in quality, but will recover. In the short term on YouTube, we're going to see an increase, and it's all going to level out as the single identity and the forced identity is brought across the different Google platforms. I think this is a big plus. I'm for it, but there are growing pains, and I understand the trolls. And Dale, I was trolling you back a little bit earlier, and if I was too strong, I apologize, but I was just trolling you back. And this was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Alan, how was your Google Plus Week? And then if you could do the rest of the panel, and then I'll close. And we got to do it real fast.
My Google Plus Week was pretty good. I'm rolling out some new glassware, which is has been fun to develop. So it's great to finally start getting that out there and working a little bit on my book. All of that's good. Looking forward to working on the book some more next week. And
the book will be titled what?
Think with Glass, Discover, Design, Develop, and I'm working on it with Jason Salas.
Are you going to put on Google Books?
We'll see. See what our publisher lets us do.
Next.
Anthony, how was your Google Plus week?
Well, I have not used Google Plus in weeks. So my Google Plus week was non-existent. Other stuff is eating up all my free time.
What's the coolest, funniest thing that's happened at Wegmans in the last week?
That you can say in 30 seconds or less.
Exactly.
I don't know. I have a regular schedule at work again after months and months of
What's the newest item on the buffet? Anything.
I'm happy.
Throw us a bone. All right,
Michael
next.
Banks, how was your Google Plus week?
Community as usual. That's my Google Plus week. I look forward to things coming out in the future and the other Google products that get the new Google Plus integration. What else can they take over?
Excellent. Pam, how was your Google Plus week?
It was lovely.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. No, it was fine. I got trolled on Dan's post and trolled him back a little bit, and
you dove in head first, Pam. Come on. I mean, like I said, you went in there like Jack Bauer, ready for anything. You don't care. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't care, and that's kind of the problem, right? So I feed the trolls because I don't care what they think, and yeah. But yeah, I'm not too happy about this. I'm going to do the workaround for a while and let the trolls get beaten by other people, and just go from there. I refuse to do things the way Google wants me to do them, and it really pisses me off.
You're such a nonconformist, Pam.
I know. I hate to see the +1s from people. I mean, really.
I don't think anybody likes those.
I don't care who's tagged in what photo. I don't need any more community suggestions. For Christ's sakes, I belong to 50 freaking communities. If I visited one,
I still get suggestions to join
one
the
every day.
I still get I swear to God, just the other day I got twice in the last week I've gotten a suggestion to join who's the marathon bombing community. I'm not kidding.
I
At
mean,
least the right one.
I actually got personally invited to the homing pigeon community twice.
Mike Tyson might be there.
Given the communities that you run, Pam, I can see why you'd be invited to homing pigeon.
Oh my God, I don't even want. Oh my God. All right, we're up against a hard break. I want to thank my co-host Alan Furstenberg. I want to thank our panel, my awesome panel. The remnants are here.
And don't forget, we've got a show.
Yeah, we have two shows. Go ahead, Alan.
So Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, our Android Week. We're going to be talking about the SMS and Hangout integration there, which we're not going to talk about tonight. Plus, join us every Friday night, 8:30 Eastern. We actually almost started on time this week, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Dan?
Everyone, thank you. Even to the trolls who will be more enforced after we're done when this goes to the new system. I look forward to your increasingly colorful and profanity-laced comments trolling us. Bring it, bitches. Hey, y'all, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, epic Google Plus week. We're here every Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Peace to the trolls.